Good evening, this is the Walpole Zoning Board of Appeals. Tonight is Wednesday, July 20th. It's just after 7 p.m. The zoning board just held an executive session, and we are now going to open the regular part of the meeting. First case we have is case number 22-11, Wall Street Development Corporation for Pinnacle Drive. This is for a comprehensive permit, and right now, the town has claimed that we are under safe harbor because of our progress in our housing production plan. And we received notice from the Department of Housing and Community Development that our safe harbor had been revoked. And one of the options the zoning board has is to appeal that decision. We've consulted with town council and had a discussion with the board, and we have decided that we are going to appeal that decision so that we are going to claim that we should still be allowed to be in safe harbor. Town council, did I miss anything on this?
No, and that appeal would go to Housing Appeals Committee, and when that appeal is filed, it will stay the public hearing on the underlying application.
Okay. So what that means is we're going to, we voted to appeal that, and what we're going to do tonight is we're going to continue that hearing out until until August 17th, our next scheduled meeting. But we'll be in the appeal process. Maybe it will be done by then, maybe it won't. But we're going to, I just want the public to understand we're going to appeal that decision to take us out of the safe harbor. Okay.
Yeah, and that appeal will be filed. It will stay the hearing automatically. The appeal will definitely not be resolved by that continuation date, but it's good to have a placeholder. And then in the event that goes forward as expected, you could just take that off the agenda. You can just indicate on the agenda that the hearing is stayed until that appeal is resolved.
Okay. Okay. So at this time, could I have a motion to continue case number 22-11, Pinnacle Drive Comprehensive Permit under Massachusetts Laws 40B until August 17th
At 7 p.m. here.
at 7 p.m. at Town Hall, yes.
So moved.
Okay. Moved by Bob, second by Drew. Any further discussion? Just so everybody understands, that just means that we're appealing the decision for the town. Okay. Okay. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained, so carried. Okay. Okay. Next case we have is case number 22-10, Wall Street Development Corporation, with respect to property located at Darwin Lane for a comprehensive permit pursuant to Mass General Laws 40B. Very similar situation that we just talked about at Pinnacle. The Housing Appeals Committee, the Housing and Community Development notified the zoning board that we came out of safe harbor, and again, with discussion with town council, the zoning board has decided to appeal that decision. So same thing. So we will continue this hearing until August 17th, and as town council already said, we'll see where we are in the appeal process at that point. Could I have a motion to continue case number 22-10, Darwin Lane, until August 17th, 7 p.m. here at Town Hall?
So moved.
Moved by Bob.
Second.
Second by Drew. Any further discussion on continuing that case? Okay. The four board members, regular board members, voting on this. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained, so carried.
And John, I just should note, if members of the public came here for that public hearing on either of those, they should check the agenda before they come in August. Save themselves a trip, because you may indicate on the agenda that it was stayed if the appeal is filed as expected.
So,
Save the trip.
yeah, so what we'll do is it'll be right on the agenda, and the agenda comes out the week before, and it would say what's going on. The reason why we continue it to a date certain is because maybe we will be having a hearing on it. We don't know. Okay. Does anybody have any procedural questions from the public on that? I know a lot of people came out for these two hearings tonight. Okay. Okay, great. Okay, moving on. Next case, I wanted to take cases that we're going to go quickly tonight, is 28 Main Street here. Okay, do you have everybody with you that you need? Are you ready to go? Okay. Do you want to come up to the podium and explain? Thank you, George. Okay. So if you would, just please identify yourself for the record and explain what you're proposing.
Here, Leo Ferreira, and my request is to turn part of my house into an in-law. That's my request. Not
Mr. Chair,
adding anything, and
so in your packet, the order that was in the agenda, so if you were trying to find Mr.
Okay.
Ferrera's item, it should be that bundle within the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Okay, yep, I've got it. And we've had a chance to review this online and everything. There's just a few letters from, that I'm gonna just read into the record, very short one, from the town engineer dated July 13th. We are providing this memorandum to remove a request for easements. We ask that the Board of Appeals consider in our May 26 review memorandum. This office has no, Pat, what's this about easements?
So the town engineer originally sent in a memo on May 26th. One of the suggestions that the town engineer had was asking for a 20-foot wide utility easement to reach, I believe it can join up with a second utility easement on your neighbor's property. We had a discussion between Mr. Ferrara and myself and Mr. The town engineer, Carl Baldoff, just to kind of explain what the town engineer, the background, I guess, so to speak, of the drainage that's behind the site. After that meeting, and after we kind of got to a better understanding of what Mr. Baldoff was looking for, Carl felt that we may obviously talk to Mr. Ferrara in a separate forum rather than having this lumped in with his request for a in-law unit.
Okay, because the next line is, this office has no objections in granting the permit. Okay. We have a letter from the fire department, from the Deputy Chief, Paul Barry. If the request is approved, building plans, including the location of existing life safety devices, will need to be submitted to the building department for review of all life safety devices. In point 2, we offer no opposition to the request. Okay. So one of the things that sort of makes this easy for the zoning board is you're not expanding the structure.
Not at all.
Everything's taking place internally to the.
Stays the same.
Internally to the home. And this is the church property, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Okay, so if you would, you want to just walk us through what you're proposing to do? We have the plans in front of us.
Right, it's, as I said, my plan is to turn the garage into a kitchen, bathroom, and living room. And above the garage is a very large family room. I want to turn into a bedroom. So I can have an in-law apartment over there, so I can move one of my ladies back home with me.
And I see the egress, there'll be a second egress out the back. Is that,
That appears to be the case. So it looks like there's a front entry that's proposed as well as a rear egress.
Right.
Yes.
does anybody have, board members, any questions or comments on this? Judy?
Patrick, you and I sat and talked, I was not aware that the upper was going to be the bedroom for the in-law. Do we have the square footage?
Yeah, we
It-
talked
okay.
about it. Yes, that the bottom floor
Yes.
is where I think your architect listed the square footage.
Square
for each
footage?
room.
Okay.
The upper floor is where I think it actually comes out to about,
It's the same.
yeah, so it's about the same. So that's
About
where
the
the
same.
1,000, I think
Same
it's
size.
roughly 1,000 square feet, a little over 1,000 square feet of
Yeah.
what would be encompassing the in-law.
Okay.
And what's the square footage of the existing?
The existing property, probably 2,600, maybe 27. It's a big house.
Any other board members have questions? Okay, is there anybody from the public that wants to speak or has any questions about this project? You want to just come up, identify yourself and your address?
Hi, my name's Jason Durant. I'm the property directly behind Helio. He's been a great neighbor. In the 7 years I've lived there, I don't have a problem with the project. One of the things I was concerned about is if the building were going to grow, which I'm learning tonight it is not. If there would be any more issues with the current drainage issue we already have out back. And the only thing I would ask is maybe, courtesy for some privacy between the two properties.
Okay.
Other than that, I have no issues with the project.
So, have you talked to the applicant about?
I just did tonight in the hallway,
Okay.
yes. I unfortunately
Some plan already.
didn't have time to, ahead of the meeting.
I'm just looking for the,
And he did mention some shrubbery or something that he was planning on doing. I just, my own.
so, where is your property located?
5 Countryside Lane, which is, our backyards are back to back.
Okay. Is there a, have you discussed what you'd like to see as a buffer? Or are you looking for a fence or?
I would love a fence. He mentioned some shrubbery, which I know will take time to grow. In the 7 years I've been there, I've seen the church lot, the parking lot expand. Cars are getting closer to my property when they park on church nights. If there's going to be an addition to more people in the house, I'd love to close that gap a little bit.
Would you be willing to,
Definitely, it's on my plans already to have a fence on it.
a fence? Okay, so one of the things
So
we
I
would.
don't see Jason every day.
So what we would do is we'd put in a condition, it's called a condition, where we would just say, you would put in a 6-foot stockade. Is that what you're thinking? What kind of fence are you thinking?
PVC.
PVC?
Yeah.
Okay. 6-foot white PVC fence?
More privacy, yeah.
Yep. Okay, for the length of the, for the rear of the property?
Yep.
Okay. Stephen, did you get that for a condition? 6 foot,
150 feet.
150 feet? Okay. Yeah, that is. Do you,
Just
for the whole length?
Yep, the whole thing.
Okay,
Deal.
okay. Okay, 150 feet of PVC fence on the rear of the property.
My wife will be happier tonight.
Okay.
She's been asking for that fence forever.
Okay, good. So everybody ends up happy then. Okay.
Happy.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay. Board members, any other questions? Oh, do you have anything else that you want?
That was all.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a good thing for everybody. Anybody, any other neighbors want to speak on this? Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
So, yes,
Okay, I just had a question. Is there any access from the second floor layout from the bedroom to the main house? There's no door from, okay. And
The access will be in the first floor.
From the first floor. And the separation between the first floor and the main house, I see a door. Is that it's at the back of
It
the,
was a mistake from the designer. He's going to remove that.
so there will be no door?
There'll be no
Okay.
door.
Thank you.
Are you looking at how it flows into the main house?
Yes, yes. Looks like at the back into the kitchen, there's a door on
Yeah. the,
sheet
The
A3.
building department now had explained to me
They
what
did?
should be done. He
Okay.
did, yeah, he was so total on it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So, Mr.
Patrick?
Chairman, if you saw fit or the board said fit, you could also make that a condition that there shall be a access between both the primary unit and the accessory unit. If the plan doesn't show it, obviously the applicant sounds like he's aware that he needs to correct that plan, but that will also have that as a condition.
Yeah, okay, so one of the conditions is that there is no door between the primary unit and the
Correct.
in-law suite. Or the accessory unit, as we call it. Okay. Good. Anything else? Okay, standard conditions for an in-law suite. And, do you want to close the hearing? I think you're in good shape.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay. This is just to close the, any further discussion from board members? Everybody good on this one? It's straightforward. Okay, at the request of the applicant, could I have a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Moved by Bob,
Second.
second by Drew. Okay, this is just to close the hearing. All those in favor of closing the hearing, please, in voting on this will be the regular members and Judy. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, so carried. That's just to close the hearing. Could I have a motion to approve case number case number 22-7 for 28 Main Street for a accessory in-law suite, standard conditions, and a fence at the rear of the property for the length of the rear of the property, which is 150 feet, white PVC stockade, white PVC fence.
Just one
Patrick.
point of clarity, it is 22-17, the case number, not 7, but
Okay, sorry, 22-17. And
Yeah, the condition was removal of the door.
Right. Removal of the door so that there's flow through the,
Right.
from the main unit to the in-law suite. Okay. Okay, anything else? Okay. Could I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Bob, second by Judy. Okay, voting on this will be the regular members and Judy. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, so carried. Okay, you're all set. Thank you. Okay. Next one is Briarwood here this evening. Okay. O- Okay, that's fine. I was just trying to move things along, where that was a continued from before.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I believe 6 Phillips Road was also continued from before, if you
Phillips,
wish to proceed to go in that order.
yep, Phillips, 6 Phillips Road. Yep, so is the applicant for 6 Phillips Road here? Yes. Okay, I'm going to recuse myself because you abut the Aggie property. Okay. I will step down, Drew Delaney will chair this.
Notice is hereby given, well, actually, we continued from the last one, so.
Yep. My name's Sean O'Leary. I'm from 6 Phillip Road, and I'd like to build an in-law on my property.
This is case 2214, respect to the property located at 6 Phillip Road, Walpole, Mass. Zoning district RA. This application is for a special permit under zoning bylaws 5B2. for the construction of an accessory in-law suite onto an existing single-family dwelling. Do you have any board, other department comments?
Mr. Vice Chair, we have comments from the Health Department. They had two comments. One was on May 23rd, and they had a follow-up on June 22nd. There's also comments from the building inspector, Mr. Crowley. Comments from town engineer, Carl Baldoff, dated May 26th. Comments from fire department, Deputy Chief Paul Berry on May 20th. And that is what we have for department comments.
Okay, read them into the record. The septic system for this is from the zoning board of, Health Department. This was on May 23rd. Septic system for the property is designed for a 3-bedroom. Therefore, the system must be upgraded to accommodate the additional bedroom, or the owner may hook up the town sewer if available. Conforming to the Title V setbacks will be necessary if upgrading. They followed up on June 22nd. The Health Department has no issue with this special permit. The home will remain a 3-bedroom, and if the applicant will file a deed recording with the Registry of Deeds pending approval of the special permit. This is from Paul C. Berry, Deputy Fire Chief. Fire Department has reviewed the application pertaining to the above-mentioned case. If the board approves the request for the special permit, the applicant will need to submit the plans through the building department for the fire department's review of life safety devices. This is from Carl Boldoff, the town engineer. The office received a digital request for comment on May 18th, 2022. We note the following: excess fill from foundation excavation should be removed from site. Otherwise, we have no objection to granting the relief and remain available should the board have any further questions. And this is from Mr. Jim Crowley, the building commissioner. This letter is in regards to a request on Section 5B2 of the Walpole zoning bylaws. Our opinion on Section 5B2C, requirement number 2, the accessory in-law suite shall be a minimum of 250 square feet and no larger than 1,000 square feet, or 33% of the total building size in the dwelling, whichever is less. This section states an in-law can be 1,000 square feet or 33% of the dwelling, whichever is less. If the applicant would like to exceed this, it can be done as a condition of the special permit. They have applied for and not a new special permit or variance. This clearly stated in Walpole zoning bylaws as follows: requirements marked with an asterisk may be altered as conditions of the special permit. Furthermore, the 33% referred to in this section is the dwelling, which refers to the entire home as a whole per zoning definitions, section 14, as follows: dwelling, a private or publicly owned permanent structure which is occupied in whole or part as the home residence or sleeping place of one or more persons. The term one family, two family, three family, or multifamily dwelling shall not include hotel, lodging house, hospital, membership club, mobile home, or dormitory. In the case of 6 Phillips Road, the dwelling is 2,596 square feet, of which 33% is 856 square feet. Can you please tell us a little bit about what you are trying to do?
I'm building an in-law for my mother. She's getting up there. So I have the drawings, if you want them here, if you want to see them.
We have a copy of them.
Okay. So it's gonna be attached to the back of the house, and then it's gonna go to the right, set back a little from the face, to the right of the dwelling.
And your existing house is currently 3 bedrooms, and you're removing one, is that correct?
We use one of the bedrooms as an office.
There was two plan drawing submissions, right?
Yeah, one is.
Okay.
So I believe the distinction was the home office, you indicated that you deed restrict as opposed to not having it included as a bedroom.
Correct.
so that's one of the issues that the health department brought up, and that's why.
Right,
Yep.
that's why we're here. Yep,
Okay.
exactly.
Yep.
You have a cased opening between the primary house and the in-law shown on the plans, is that what you
Yes.
intend, yeah? Any other board members have any questions?
Just to be clear, so in addition to recording the special permit as required on the bylaw, you're also planning to record a deed restriction that specifically states that what's marked as the home office cannot be used as a bedroom? Is that-
Correct.
I don't have any further questions.
Any other board members? Judy?
The cased opening going from the main house is through the lower level laundry room?
There's like a back entrance, and then we'll be able to go on the first floor, and she'll be able to go right upstairs. There'll be a door there.
Okay. And I see a landing there, so there's actually
Correct.
two doors. There's a slider and a landing, and then tucked in at the,
That slide is gonna come out. and
Okay.
It's just gonna be like an open floor plan,
Yep.
opened up to the dining room.
okay. All right. So into that hallway, there's an
Correct.
exterior door from the backyard?
Correct.
Okay. And then at the other end of that hall, that's the cased entrance into the laundry room?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any questions or comments from any abutters?
So one additional question, the building commissioner sort of laid out the 33% number, but it didn't indicate what the square footage of the in-law suite would be, at least I didn't see it here. Do you know,
Yeah, it's 624.
624?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
great.
If there's no further comments from the board, would you like to close the hearing? Can I have a motion to close the hearing for case number 22-14, 6 Phillip Road?
So moved?
Everyone will be voting on this. Second. Moved by Bob, seconded by Dave. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. That's a motion to close. Can I have a motion to approve the request for an in-law suite with the conditions of the deed restriction on the home office, along with standard conditions for an in-law suite? Was there
Yeah.
enough?
I believe one of the
Excess
comments
fill.
from engineering was to, any excess fill should be removed from the site. Excess fill from foundation excavation should be removed from the site.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I think that should be an additional condition.
Any other conditions? Can I please have a motion to that effect?
So moved?
Second?
Moved by Bob, second by Judy. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Abstain, excuse me, oppose, abstain, motion carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
See how well we work when you're not here? Yeah, we did.
One question, Patrick, is one of these cases being continued? where-
So, I believe we had 295 Union Street and 51 Providence Highway were both two cases that the board didn't have much of discussion with, and I know we continued them to receive the subsequent plan revisions. 295 Union Street had to meet with Conservation Commission.
So,
and I
so
believe-
they're not here, they're not here tonight?
No, they are.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all here.
But is it,
1429.
1429.
1429, yeah, that's for a continuation.
That's for a continuation.
Yep.
Until when?
So I believe in the letter, he asked for a continuation, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, I think August 17th. So at the
Yeah.
last meeting, the board had already approved an extension to September 7th. So they are just looking to extend, they're looking for a continuance to August 17th.
Okay.
But we're good with time.
Right. Okay, let me just clear that off. Just, if any, as I was sitting there with everybody else, I was thinking if anybody's here for the case number 22-7 for 1429 Main Street, that one is going to be continued until August 17th, so at the request of the applicant. So I'm sorry if anybody's been sitting here for that one, but that one, we'll do that right now. Could I have a motion to continue case number 22-7 until August 17th at the request of the applicant?
At 7 PM.
At 7 PM at Town Hall. Yes, Bob?
So moved. Sorry, there's rules with that.
I know, you're right. Okay. Moved by Bob,
Second.
second by Drew. Regular members voting on this. All those in favor of continuing until August 17th, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, so carried. Okay. So that one's been continued. Okay, next we have 295 Union Street. This is special permit under the zoning bylaws to allow building improvements and site improvements in the floodplain overlay district. So, is the applicant here for that? Good evening, good to see you again, and do you want to tell us, update us where you're at with your plans?
Yep, sure. For the record, I'm Brian McCarthy with R.J. O'Connell Associates, civil engineers on the project. So at the last meeting we had here, we discussed the project, reviewed it, and the board appeared to not have any comments on the application. But we did, at the time, note that we were revising the plans and the stormwater report in order to address comments from the Conservation Commission and the town engineer. And we did do that. We revised the plans and we resubmitted to the Conservation Commission, and we actually had a hearing with them on June 22nd, at which meeting they voted to approve the project and they issued the order of conditions. The town engineer also reviewed those revised plans that were submitted and issued a memo noting that we have addressed all of his comments and that he had no further comments on the project.
Excuse me.
So I believe this board was waiting for that to happen before closing this hearing and voting on the project.
Okay. So we do have the plans. I do have one question. Right now, on the property, there's a raised, like, berm area, as you look at the property to the left.
Yep.
I now see this parking on that. Is something coming out of there, or?
Yes, so that area is currently a septic system. That property's on a septic system. And that's a raised area for that septic system. That is being abandoned and removed. As you might recall, last year Tesla had come before you to get a special permit for their use and for the extension and connection of the sewer to the municipal main in Union Street. That's going to happen, and when that happens, and we're gonna do that as part of this project, when that happens, we're gonna remove that mound and put parking on that area.
Okay. I wasn't sure what was under that, so.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And Patrick, did they work out the thing about the sidewalk?
So I believe
Oh,
we had
yes.
originally discussed,
Yes, so the town engineer requested us to put show it on the plan.
yep,
Didn't mean to speak.
No, go for it.
Sorry, he requested us to show the sidewalk on the plan and put a note on the plan related to that sidewalk. And the understanding is it would be constructed by the town. But we're gonna allow for that to happen and provide any ease or access and remove fencing in order for that to be installed.
So one of the conditions that the town engineer had recommended, and I think I wrote that in the draft decision, was essentially to allow for a temporary access within 10 feet of the right-of-way for grading and removal and replacement of fencing currently along the right-of-way, as well as the addition of accessible curb cuts at the site entrance from Union Street. These details may be formalized by right of entry prepared by the town, endorsed by both parties at a later date. This condition will expire within 3 years from the date of agreed-upon entry endorsement. So, I don't know if that's something that is, that's more or less the condition to go into the right of entry agreement, which will be discussed at a later time, which,
So there would be an agreement drafted at a later? Okay.
for the
okay
temporary
with
access. No,
Right.
absolutely not, no.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
That's condition number 5
Yes.
in the draft decision. Okay. Looks good so far. So, board members, any other questions or comments? Judy?
I just had a question on the replacement of the fencing, on that condition number 5. I was just wondering what type of fencing you were considering, if you know now.
So we haven't really considered anything. In fact, if I remember right, we may not even put the fence back up. We want the option to do it if we
Okay.
so decide to do it. But we haven't decided. It would probably be a similar type of fence that's out there today, except it could be a, not falling apart, could be a 4-foot high.
Would you consider a PVC vinyl?
Sure, happy.
Only because I took a ride down, and then I was down in Norwood on Moore Street, and there's I think it's a parking lot, and they've got fencing, and I don't care about the bushes in the front, but you wouldn't know that there was a parking lot there. Now, I know you're gonna see the big buildings behind the fence, but I just think Union Street's kind of a gateway into East Walpole.
Sure.
And, the homes that are up there and whatnot, and they used a lot of truck traffic, but I think it would be a nice touch if, that you would consider that, just for aesthetic. Yeah, okay.
Sure, yep, that's okay.
Thank you,
So do you want that as a
Yes, please.
specific condition?
yes.
So add a condition that it would be
PVC
PVC
Fencing.
fencing.
as an
Would
option.
that condition say that if we do put it, we don't have to put it up, right? We could leave the fence out if we so decide to leave it out. But if we decide to put it in, then it would be a PVC coated.
Well, a condition is that you would do it,
Well,
right?
Well, I thought it was a consideration that if we did it, it would be PVC. Sorry, that's not me.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I mean, is there a if they don't want to have fence,
They don't
right
have to-
now there's chain link fence,
Right.
and the applicant already pointed out it's
It's
not-
falling down, yes,
not
I
in best
understand.
condition. So if fence is replaced, it would be replaced with
Yes,
PVC fencing.
that's fine.
Okay.
If it's replaced.
So-
Yeah.
Eventually, if the applicant so choose to at a later date include fencing along the Union Street
Mhm.
side of the property, they will do so as PVC fencing.
Mhm.
I mean, to something to that extent. Sure. Yeah.
A PVC coated chain link fence, is that what we're talking about?
PVC is usually the white vinyl, PVC, 4-foot, whatever 6-foot.
There's like a black vinyl coated chain link fence?
So now we're getting into.
No, I know. It's not chain link, it's what you'd see going around someone's pool.
I think ultimately, I mean, if this was site plan review, it might be a different thing,
Yeah.
just because they have the floodplain overlay district, special permit, may
Okay.
not be
Right,
applicable.
just a thought, sorry.
We're happy to consider anything, it's just, we haven't talked about it, so
Of
not
course.
without seeing the type of fencing.
Okay.
Put that as a-
Okay, we're good.
Okay, anything else? I mean, the choice is to keep the hearing open and nail down what the fencing would be, but I don't,
I don't want to do that, no.
and I
No,
also
I just
think-
hope they get the
I also
hints,
think that
and
it's
they do it.
it's late, yeah,
Yeah.
but that should have,
Well, I asked about fencing last time we were here.
but,
It wasn't specific. Okay, I'll be more specific next time.
okay. Okay, we have a draft decision before us that looks pretty good. And really, it's the sidewalk, that was the only thing that I think the town was interested in making sure we had on that. And you're getting your sewer connection and everything,
Yes. we will.
you're in the process of that?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, Patrick, anything else?
No, so I mean, obviously the draft condition, I had it before I had the final plan, so all additional information can be recorded and presented to,
Great.
to yourself and Mr. Fitzgerald after the fact.
Okay. Could I have a motion to, nothing else? Any neighbors or anybody from the Union Street area that wants to comment on this? I've already noticed the site is cleaning up significantly, so
Yep. We're working on it.
it's moving in the right direction, right? Okay, could I have a motion to approve case number 22-6 with the conditions outlined in the draft decision and also based on the site plans for redevelopment of 295 Union Street, and those plans are dated, last update, looks like,
Should be June 16th.
June 16th.
oh, yep,
Yep.
6/16/2022.
So moved.
Okay. Second, moved by Bob, yeah, yes, Mr. O'Leary. Oh, yeah, you're right, thank you.
And who's gonna vote?
Okay, do you want to close the hearing?
Sure. Yep.
Mr. O'Leary, as always, thank you, and I know you're accurate on these things. You want to close the hearing?
Yep. Yep.
Could I have a motion to close case number 22-16?
So moved.
Moved by Bob. Second by Drew. Any further discussion? And this is just to close it. All those in favor of closing the hearing, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained, so carried. Voting on this will be the regular members and Tim Hagler. Okay. Could I have a motion to approve case number 22-16 based on the draft decision and the plans dated June 16th, 2022?
So moved.
Moved by Bob.
Second.
Second by Drew. Any further discussion? Did we miss anything on this?
No, I don't believe
I
it did.
think we're good. Okay. Again, voting on this, regular members and Tim Hagler. All those in favor of approving the plan, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained, so carried. Okay, thank you. Good luck with your project.
Thank you very much.
And Mr. O'Leary, thank you. It's always hard if I have to go back and fix things. Okay, let's stay in East Walpole, moving along. 22-9, Glaro Development Corporation, case number 22-9, 51 Route 1, special permit under table 5B14PII of the zoning bylaws to allow modification of existing drive-through at the site. Good evening.
Good evening. As you guys know, Dan is unavailable to be at the meeting, so I'll try to do my best.
Just identify yourself for the record.
I'm sorry, Bill Glavopoulos.
Okay. Go ahead.
I think we were waiting the last meeting for Conservation's approval. They approved us. And then there were some other comments from Carl, and I believe you guys have the responses.
So we have, the letter from the town engineer says, the revised plans, as well as the response letter provided by Mr. American, have addressed the issues of my June 14th letter. It appears that the applicant has agreed to assist with Department of Transportation access permitting, and the Economic Development Director has drafted language for a condition that would be included in the Board of Appeals decision. We have no further comments, so that's a good letter. Okay. And we have the draft decision. And that's point number 2, that you would work with Department of Transportation on any access issues. Board members, any questions or comments on this, where they're creating a 2-lane drive-through that merges into one?
The project looks good, and I appreciate your being responsive to the request for some additional trees on the property
Yep.
where you can fit them in, so thank you for that.
Yep, so. Good. Okay. Are there any members from the public to comment on this? Okay. We good? Okay. Do you want to close the hearing?
Please.
At the request of the application, could I have a motion to close the hearing for case number
22-9.
22-9? Thank you, Bob.
So moved.
Moved by Bob. Second. Second by Drew. This is just to close the hearing. All those in favor of closing the hearing, please say aye. Oh, voting on this will be regular members and Judy. All those in favor of closing the hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, so carried. Okay. Now for the decision. We have a draft decision before us, which looks good. Does anybody want anything else added to that draft decision?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I guess maybe I should have probably mentioned this last time too, but going forward, it makes sense to also just reference the draft conditions in terms of just stating them, just for the record. So I know we have just only 3 draft conditions for
Yep.
this one.
Do you want to read them off?
Yep, so this one mostly comes from the fire department, so condition there shall be an installation of a modern fire alarm system during the building renovation process. The second condition, the applicant shall prepare a separate plan depicting the proposed sidewalk within the state highway, Route 1. As it relates to the town of Walpole's Union Street Sidewalk Extension Project, the applicant shall agree to work with the town on applying for a Mass DOT permit on behalf of the town for the town's installation of the future sidewalk. And then condition 3 is the property owner shall record the decision of the Norfolk County Registry of Deeds and provide a copy along with proof of recording to the Board of Appeals, Town Clerk, and Building Department.
Okay. So that's the decision, and we're gonna reference the plan dated last revision of July 7th, 2022 for 51 Boston Providence Highway. Okay. So could I have a motion to approve the draft decision and the plans as stated?
So moved.
Moved by Bob. Second. Second by Drew. Any further discussion? And voting on this, as I said before, regular members and Judy Conroy. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, so carried. Okay, good luck with your new project.
Thank you.
I hope that resolves the queuing issues there. Thanks. Okay. Okay. Mr. Delaney, 11 Briarwood, do you have your people here? I do. Okay. Want to come forward and explain what you're proposing to do?
My name is James Delaney. I live at 11 Briarwood Lane in Walpole. At this time, I am attempting to regrade the backyard. Where there's a slope to the left of the backyard that I'm going to try to excavate some of, not all of, and redistribute the material to the lower part of the backyard, as well as truck in some material. We were here about a month ago, and we had a couple things we need to resolve, and I do believe we have resolved those items. I did email a plan, or submit a plan to the portal, which hopefully you all have in front of you. If not, I have a giant copy here. We also got comments from engineering, basically saying that everything looks fine, but to keep in mind comments 1 and 4 on the initial submission from them. Comment 1 was to take care not to disturb or damage the water recharge system to the left of the garage. It is shown on this new plan. The other item was that all looming and seating should be done by October date. I can't remember off the top of my head. But those are the only 2 things in the new engineering comments that were standing out, and they're just kind of notes to me and or the people working on my property.
Okay, thank you. So at the last meeting, we were trying to determine the areas where material was going to be removed from. We see that in the plan now.
Correct.
You're staying even out of the buffer zone, which is the setback for a dwelling. So we can see the area that's being removed. And I think at the last meeting, one of the things was, Bob, I think it was a question you had about the volume.
Yeah, I think we talked about it, rough numbers, but I don't know if you had a chance to look at how many cubic yards would be removed?
Yeah, Mike Freiberg from ML Landscape. It was 102 cubic yards that were gonna be moved on the property.
102.
Hence why you're here. If it was less than 100, you would not be here.
Well, that's what's being moved from the hill on the property. That doesn't include the material being trucked in. The other issue is the grade of the yard. I can't change the grade of my yard by more than 1 foot in a given year. And so I guess that's more one of the bigger reasons that we're here, because the grade of the yard will change.
Okay. Okay. So grade of the yard. There was also discussion at the last meeting on types of soil. We had a report about soil. And one of the things that I looked at was it's Hinckley soil. And I know Pat sort of rolled his eye with all the talk about soils last time, but it's the soil is not subject to erosion. It is slate erosion, so I think that resolves one of the issues that I had on that, so. Okay. Any other comments from board members?
Could you just, in general terms, walk through the project, how you would excavate, how you would stabilize, and just sort of.
Mike has volunteered to take a hand shovel.
Pardon me?
Mike has volunteered to take a hand shovel and move the whole hill by hand. I don't think that's gonna work, though.
Yeah, I don't think so. So kind of first and foremost, if you want, was setting up the silt and erosion control. That's probably the first thing we're gonna do, is take all that stuff in. As you can see, the stumps that we have to remove, those will be excavated kind of the next phase throughout, and then anything else that was removed from the property for tree removal. After that, we probably cut and fill, put grade stakes up, figure out where we're gonna put the material, get a rough grade, see where we can bring more material in. Obviously, probably build an access road on this point. We talked about curbing on that side, so bridge and curb over there. Once that's done, pack 6 inches of soil, and then hydro seed. This top area, we're gonna fluff and put a couple inches of loam material, and then do a no-mow grass mix, similar to what they use in sides of highways.
Any other board members have any questions or comments? Okay, is there anybody from the public that would like to comment on this?
Again, Gregory Sullivan representing Dr. Backner and Regina Wadensky, the abutters at 21 Briarwood Lane. First of all, when we were last here, the applicant said that he would not be removing the two stumps that were of great concern to my client and their experts. So now on the new plan, we see stumps to be removed and locations approx. Well, we had a measurement taken of the closest stump to the property line, and it's 12 feet. This plan depicts that stump as being outside or on the 20-foot buffer zone line. So we dispute the location of those two stumps, and we're certainly asking that those stumps not be removed. They are now, I don't know, 3 feet high. We would request that they be cut to ground level and ground, but not removing, most importantly, the root system, which the experts say go under my client's driveway. Mr. Fasendola, who was here last time, is here again tonight to address these concerns with more scientific knowledge than I can give you. But his concerns, as you'll hear, the grading, the proposed grading in this green area, particularly in the area closest to the property line, he believes are far too steep to be effectuated without some additional either jute netting or fiber blankets or some additional erosion control. We are somewhat concerned about the significance of the 20-foot, I'll call it a buffer zone, setback line. We'd certainly ask as a condition that no work take place, and additionally that 20-foot setback line be staked, so whoever goes out to begin regrading the slope would know exactly where to go and where not to go, particularly in the, I'll call the buffer zone. So we'd ask that that be a condition.
Just a question on that. If it turns out that, as you say, that the stump is on within that 20-foot section, you would still want it preserved? They could cut it, grind it, but leave it. They could do that activity if it happens to be within 20 feet.
Well, we're pretty sure it's 12 feet from the property line.
Right. But you're asking for a condition that says that there would be no work within 20 feet of the property line?
Yes.
So in the event that the tree stump is only 12 feet from the property line, you're still okay with them cutting and grinding, but not removal? Is that right?
I believe that would be Mr. Fasendola's position, but I'm going to ask him to address the board on all these issues. I just wanted to highlight some of the concerns that remain, particularly those two stumps, which the experts have said if they are removed and the root system is removed, there's a significant danger that the driveway will fail on my client's property. But Mr. Fasendola can address that with more expertise than me. Thank you.
Good evening. For the record, Nick Fasendola, Level Design Group, here on behalf of the property owners of 21 Briarwood Lane. So just to quickly recap on some of the statements made just now. One of the concerns with the revised plan is they showed two stumps, approximate location, as was detailed. So there's multiple stumps out there. So, our assumption is that these are the large stumps which were detailed as a concern at the previous public hearing. And, their locations, were requested to be depicted on the plan. It's pretty obvious that if those are the stumps that are being shown, they don't appear to be accurately delineated, and which is why we'd be looking for that 20-foot no disturb zone, which I believe was the intent of the revised plan. As you can see on that plan, that green area where they're going to do work essentially ends at that area. We would just like to see that memorialized with a condition, and that's something that could easily be field staked to have a visual line during construction, so there's no digging beyond that point. So to answer your question, is it okay if trees are cut or the stumps ground? Well, trees have already been cut within that area from what it looks like. So, there'd be no concern. The main concern is the excavation, which is associated with the permit request. So, I don't think we can limit the trees that are cut. It's the earth removal activities, which are part of the permit, and which is what we're concerned about. The other concern, just, from being a professional engineer, what I saw on the plan, the regraded area closest to the garage it's over 2-to-1 slope, the way it's shown. It doesn't look to be that bad on that plan that's provided because the scale's so large, but, the slope that's going to be provided is rather steep. Typically you want to see 3-to-1 slopes, which are more easily stabilized, but something that steep is typically rip-wrapped, or you have a retaining wall to alleviate some of the grade, or you provide additional engineered methods, as were stated, netting or erosion control mats to help hold the slope in place while the vegetation is established that will help hold that hill in. Another quick statement with regards to erosion. All soils erode if they're left exposed. When you do earthwork and digging, you expose the soil. So having steep slopes and exposed soils is a concern for movement of soil. So it's not just wind-blown erosion. This is, if you cut the hill, you have a 2-inch storm event, as we had many last summer. I'm sure everybody can remember those. You're going to get significant erosion of that slope if it's not treated properly during the construction process. So that's one of the main concerns associated with that. And the other quick item about the plan was, they showed the grades for the cut area, but not the yellow area where they're going to be filling. There's another abutter to the north of the property whose parcel could be impacted from that activity. Raising the grade that close to the property line, how's it going to be feathered in? What's it going to look like? How's it going to be stabilized? Those are all concerns that the board should take into consideration with this permit, and that information is not provided on the plan. So that's just something that doesn't directly affect the owners of 21 Briarwood Lane, but in my review of the plan is something I noted. So yeah, just to reiterate, the board does choose to grant the permit this evening. Reasonable conditions for us would be to maintain that 20-foot buffer as is shown on the plan as a no disturb zone, have that field staked, and and leave the large 36-inch stumps intact. They can be cut down, they can be ground down, but not physically removed or ripped out of the slope with an excavator. Those would be the conditions that the abutter is looking for associated with this permit. So if there's any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer those for you at this time.
Any board members, any questions? So the big one is the 20-foot buffer, no work zone. Okay.
Understood.
Okay. Anything?
I guess we could hear from the applicant about whether
Yeah.
they're okay with that.
Yeah, is that from the applicant? Do you want to come back up? Is that something that, if we put that as a condition, can you meet that condition to have the, no, not talking about stump shed, just the 20-foot, you show the 20-foot buffer where you wouldn't be working? Is that?
Yeah, and stake it out. Yeah, no problem.
Okay. I wasn't even asking for staking, I'm just saying.
20-foot buffer is not going to be an issue.
What's that?
20-foot buffer is not an issue.
Okay, okay, so, do board members think it should be staked? He said it, not me. Okay.
I think it would be helpful just to stake it so there's no confusion or discussion later.
That's something
This
that
way,
can be done?
Yes.
Okay. So one of the conditions would be, the 20-foot buffer would be staked, just for clarification. There's talk about stumps. the neighbor's attorney said that the stump is 12 feet from the property line. Are we talking different stumps, or?
No, we're talking, I believe, to the best of my knowledge, we're speaking about the same stumps.
Okay. So if it's in that 20-foot buffer zone,
Well, gotcha.
you won't be pulling it, but if it is, or if it's on the line, you can,
Cut and
you're
grind.
gonna respect the 20-foot buffer.
Correct.
Okay. Anything else, board members? Okay. So, are there any other neighbors here to speak on this? Okay. So, what I see, the big one is the 20-foot buffer, and that is, there was talk about the grade, but I measured it out. I think that over 40 feet, a 10-foot drop, that's a 4-to-1 drop. There might be sections closer to the house, but that's a smaller area. Okay. Anything else? Good. Do you want to close the hearing?
I do.
Okay. At the request of the applicant, I'd like to close the hearing. Could I have a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Moved by Bob, second by Drew. So, that is for case number 22-13. Okay, all those in favor of closing the hearing, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained, so carried. Voting, yeah, what's that?
You need to identify the.
Yeah, voting on this will be the regular members and Jim Hagler. Okay, so, this is an unusual case, so this is for a special permit for moving material and changing the slope. I would say, referencing the plan dated to,
Update the, it says February 19th on it.
okay, February 19th, that's when it was last updated.
Now we updated a couple weeks ago, so update that need to.
Okay, but that's what the plans,
Currently says yes.
So you can see the plan that was received on, I believe we got this last
A
Wednesday.
week ago today.
Week ago today. Which would be the 13th.
13th. Plan received on July 13th, 2022.
The applicant actually had submitted via viewpoint as well, so it is time-stamped for the record as well.
That's fine, that's fine. I just want to make sure we're clear, particularly when we're talking about the 20-foot buffer. Okay, so that's the plan, and the condition that we would have on this is no cutting or removal from the 20-foot, buffer on the easterly side, I'm sorry, the westerly side, on the easterly side of the property, right?
That the 20-foot setback be staked before excavation begins.
Any other conditions? Okay. Okay,
Mr. Chairman, was there something related to the permission to cut and grind one of those stumps? Is it specific to another stump?
I don't
Side?
think,
Okay.
I don't think the zoning board's gonna get into,
Okay.
We've identified the work
Work
zone
zone, okay.
where he can remove material, but The fact is, he can cut down every tree.
I know that, I just, that the attorney mentioned that, yeah, the butter was okay with cutting and grinding something, but I just wanted, I don't want it to be an issue once they start. Okay, if not,
So I believe, and correct me here if I'm wrong, but I believe it was, we were not gonna do any excavation in the 20-foot setback zone. However, if I wanted to flush cut and grind the stump that may or may not be in the 20-foot setback zone, that was okay, if I understood correctly.
that's what I thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I wanted to make sure everyone's clear on that. Okay.
Sure.
The other condition that was agreed to was that the 20-foot buffer zone would be stayed.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, we put that in. I'm sorry if you didn't hear that. Yeah, yeah, no, that's in there. 20-foot buffer is gonna be staked.
I think there was a couple conditions recommended by maybe Landis as far as loam and seed prior to October 15th.
That was from engineering, yeah.
Okay, and then catch basin protected during construction.
Okay. Patrick, sorry, Stephen, did you get those?
Yep.
Okay.
The only other one I have is just make sure you protect the curb when you're bringing equipment onto the property.
Okay, so, the conditions, 20-foot buffer of a no-work area, it will be staked prior to construction. Catch basins will be protected. What was the other one, Drew? You had?
Loam and seed by.
Loam and seed, in October.
15th.
Right.
Think
Can you
was the
meet
date.
that?
It's either 1 or October 15th, yeah, that's fine. no
I,
problem.
just say October.
Yes.
Don't know what the weather's gonna be like. Okay. 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 Any other conditions? Very good. Okay. Could I have a motion to approve the plan received on July 13th, 2022?
Close the hearing. Do we already close the hearing?
Yeah, we already closed the hearing, and I actually sort of allowed some procedural things. So, the hearing was closed. Right, Mr. O'Leary? Okay, thank you. And so, could I have a decision approving a special permit for 11 Briarwood with the conditions, 20-foot buffer of no work area staked on the easterly side of the property. Catch basins will be protected, and grass planting would be done in October, by October. Anything else? We cover everything? Okay.
Yes.
What did she?
And state.
And staking, yep, and, staking. Okay, all those in favor of approving the special permit with
Need a
Patrick?
motion.
I believe we got a motion.
So
Oh, yeah, a motion to that effect, moved by Dave,
Second.
second by Drew, and Tim, you'll be voting on this one. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained? So carried. Okay, good luck with the project. Okay. Okay, thank you, good night. Okay, I guess what a lot of you have been waiting for is next one, case number 22-1, High Plain Holdings LLC, 173 High Plain Street, special permit under section 5B13G of the zoning bylaws to allow for a 3-story, 10-unit mixed-use residential development within the business zoning district. And we've gone back and forth on this. We have had a number of the neighbors speak. You've spoken, your engineer has spoken. So do you have where do you stand? What do you have new on this for the zoning board?
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. Thanks for having us again. We've been here, as you know, 5 or 6 times since February. Since our last hearing, we've made some changes. We've been speaking with the neighbors, and we've answered, we believe, all the objections and questions from the board. Just a reminder, this is it was started off as a 10-unit building with commercial on the first floor, seeking a special permit for mixed use to change the business to add the residential. We're now at 8 units above the existing, above the commercial, with 1 affordable unit. We've started off around 16,000 square feet total. We've taken over 3,000 square feet out of the building, taking 2 units out of the building. We've done the traffic study that was requested by the board, along with many other changes since we first started. So we feel as though we have a fair project. And since we were here at the last meeting, we had a list of list of questions. So if you want us to run through them, we can discuss.
And I see we have a
Yeah, I
rendering
don't
here.
know if we can get this going, but I can plug in the rendering. Andrew, you want to run through the list?
Andrew Litchfield, partner in High Plain Holdings, and at the last meeting, I believe was June 1st, the board and neighbors wanted to clarify a number of things. Type of fence that's gonna be going around the property. We'll do a white vinyl privacy fence. Level of affordability for the 1 affordable unit will be 80%, and it's gonna be in perpetuity. I know I think the standard is 30 years, but we're gonna do in perpetuity. The removal of the balconies on the 3rd floor. So we removed the balconies on the 3rd floor, and we also removed the balconies from the back of the property, because after speaking with our neighbor in the back, it's a big concern of his to have anyone overlooking his property. So there's currently 2 on the left side, which abut the apartment complex, and then 1 on the driveway side. So 3 total. We had questions about the exterior and the color scheme of the property to make it more fitting. And this is our new rendering. You want to show the before, or?
This is where it started. This was back in February with 10 units.
Yep.
From there, it went to this, which was a little busy and
Full balconies.
a little bold with all the balconies. And from there, since then, which we feel is a lot softer, gentler, with some of the.
We changed the width of the siding, so this a little bit thicker to kind of blend in more with the colonial feel of the rest of the neighborhood. Added shutters. We did a red shutter scheme as well, but I think we found a little more fitting, softer to the neighborhood and everything. So that's the exterior. We know that Drew had a lot of questions about the entering and exiting of the property. So we have been speaking with Carl, the town engineer, back and forth with our traffic consultant, Bill, and they've gone back and forth. I believe there's a letter from him, with what we'll be providing. One of the big things was the tapering of the left turn signal. And we show on the plans that tapering has been moved back to before the entering and exiting of the driveway. And we know the town just asked, or the town engineer just asked, to put that on the plans, and they would make that final judgment. But it is a town jurisdiction street, so they have the ability to do that. It's not state or anything. So the rest of the entering and exiting, we'll have the stop sign. We'll have a stop line that goes across as well. And I know that the town engineer asked us to do new concrete for the sidewalk that be going across the driveway. think that, oh, and also the left turn signal, so a no left turn signal sign, and we proposed hours. I believe they are from,
The town and the police department asked if they could have final say on the hours of operation.
but right now they're peak hours, so I believe it's maybe 7 to 9 and then 3 to 5 in the afternoon. But they wanted that final say on what that should be restricted to. There was also condition for professional offices only on the commercial floor. So we are happy to do that. You know, as we said in the last meeting, Anthony and myself will probably have an office there. You know, we're going to be building it ourselves. Anthony's a licensed general contractor, and you know, managing the building ourselves too. So, you know, it's not our last time you'll see us, and especially with the neighbors too. We want to make sure they know that if there are any things that come up, you know, we're right there and to help address any concerns. And also part of the first floor commercial was 3 offices only, which we're happy to do as well. The commercial space is around 3,700 square feet, so it's around 1,100 square feet per office. And you also wanted a concrete decision from the fire department, which I believe, we went back and forth with the fire department, and they provided a letter as well. And then a side note was, one of the neighbors on a side street asked about the water pressure. So we did go ahead and talk to the town engineer, and he provided a letter as well.
We have the letter.
Basically stating that the project would not impact. Yes, a couple of questions, yeah, right there. So is there sufficient water capacity? Yes, and then will the proposed development affect the water pressure? And that's no. I think that does it for the questions and comments that we had at the last meeting. Anything else that we need to discuss?
That was all the comments in the last meeting.
Oh, yeah, so, you know, in addition to the fence along the sides and the rear of the property, there is existing growth that's gonna remain on within that 26-foot buffer on the back of the property. And we're proposing to add a number of arborvitaes mostly where the trash is gonna be, because I know that's a big concern for our neighbor as well. You know, it's tough to put it any other place because of access, because of the fire department, and concerns that they had. But Anthony has a picture of a property that the same arborvitaes that we are going to be putting in are put in at this other project, and you can see how quickly, well, I don't know how quickly, but you can see how tall they can get. I believe the ones we're planting will be 8 to 10. And, you know, from our understanding, those grow a couple feet a year. So we hope that that helps more of the screening, especially where the dumpster's gonna be, even though the dumpsters will still be enclosed within a fence and locked, per the fire department's request as well. So I think that's all that we have. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. I know there's some neighbors here. Do you want to come forward, address concerns, or let us know your thoughts on this? Sure.
Dan Aloigi, I'm the neighbor right in the back. Thank you. You guys have come a long way. Appreciate what you're doing. I would just like to reiterate a privacy fence in the back all the way across. But I would like to also request that it be taller than 6 feet, because I have a pool there, and so it's a little higher, and I don't really want to, if it's taller than 6 feet, I propose if it could be 10 feet. A tall white PVC all across. As well as the arborvitaes, I heard it's going to be 8 to 10, so I'm fine with that as long as they're tall enough. And thank you for removing the balconies in the back. I do have young children, so I prefer that as well. There was another mention about the trash. That is still a concern of mine. It's still only 26 feet away from my property. So I don't know if there's other, I think there's some issues with fire, but I don't know if there's other considerations of putting another something to make sure that it's, you know, not only, you know, the smell or what, I'm just concerned about it being very close to my property. So, and that's pretty much it at this point. Thank you.
Okay, so, there's a limit of a 6-foot fence. We can't require them to do something that would be outside the zoning bylaws. So the highest fence that you can normally have would be a 6-foot fence. They could have come back to the zoning board of appeals requesting a higher fence, but we cannot require something that's not allowed under the bylaws, so just mention that. It sounds like overall, you might not love it, but we getting there, or?
We're getting there, yeah. I'm still, you know, I think the trash is still an issue in the back with rodents and having a pool there and the smell and the 26 only foot buffer. That is a big concern of mine. So I would, you know, like to see if we could move that somewhere else. That is a concern of mine. It's literally going to be 26 feet away from me for the entire building. And I just want to also make sure that we do reiterate the conditions of being only professional service offices on that first floor, please.
Yep, okay. Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Good evening. My name is Edward Lazi. I am the neighbor on the 184 Highland Street in front of this property. Yeah, just to summarize, these guys have made some progress from the beginning, but just want to give the honest picture on this one. The first proposal was that we are doing this mixed commercial retail for you guys, because if you wanted to do that, if you want, we can go ahead and do commercial in the first place. Let's be honest here. We all know that commercial is not going never to work there. You have half of the wall pole, all the offices are empty there. But okay, we'll give that. The second one was that they came with 10 units, but now they went 8 units. In reality, they went to 8 units because the fire department asked to decrease the property, because they couldn't take the turn, right?
Everything to the board. Yeah, you're recalling things correctly.
Yeah, so don't say that was made a favor to us that from 10 we went to 8, because that was not a favor. Fire department stepped in and say, you cannot do that, you need to lower. The third one, which I'm very concerned because my kids take the bus there, is the traffic. That is very biggest concern. Now, I understand that in the traffic, that was on the traffic, sorry, just give me a second. So it was a traffic study, and the engineer that came here 2 or 3 meetings ago, he said, hey, it's not going to be a problem. Even he suggested that even you take a left, it's never going to be a problem. However, that traffic study doesn't take into account Bird Middle School now is going to serve the whole town, which we know that as a fact. And on top of that is that I've been in that mass for 7 years. We didn't have this traffic as we have today, because what is happening, and let's be honest, I'm not going to blame this guy, but let's be honest. Our town is giving a lot of permits. You have Pennington houses, the center, so those apartment buildings, all those are cars, hundreds of new cars. Now, we're adding an addition 20 cars, 30 cars in their apartment, but we are just adding. We are not doing anything to our roads. So kind of, if you guys say, okay, this is not going to impact, but in my back home country, we have a phrase that says that stone, brick by brick, you make a wall. So if you just give permits, okay, 20 units here is okay, 20 units there is okay, 30 units there is okay. In the end of the day, those 20, 30, 50 that make that the whole things that we face on the daily basis, especially our road, because everyone has to go and take the Route 1 there and go to the highway. Everyone who comes from the main street, everyone who comes from the center of Walpole. So the traffic study, just for this guy, might not really impact us, but in reality, it has an impact because of these new projects. You have another one new to the, where it is the Middle School are going to build 10 or 20 new houses, there, apartments. I don't know how many they're building, but kind of a lot. So guys, please think when you give all this special permission, because in the end of the day, our beautiful area that was all residential, now it's becoming just commercial, residential, mixed to mix, kids with stores and all that stuff, which doesn't make any sense. If town is, and I'm suggesting for a long term, if town wants to have all this, let's assign a somewhere location for all this commercial rentals property. There's a lot of golfing courses there. Some of those are for sales, so they can build there. We don't have to build all these 20, 30, 50 apartments where there are the residential properties. So I want to bring to the board attention that last time we said that, oh, we are discriminating against renters. No, we're not discriminating against renters. We are being discriminated because we have been residential there forever, because a board decision made 50 or 60 years ago, which was wrong. How you can allow to have a commercial where the rest of the whole neighborhood is residential, and now we're saying, okay, but because we made a mistake then, we have to go ahead with the same mistake. That doesn't make any sense, but anyway, these guys saw opportunity, good for them. So the other one that I have is that apparently the water department said there is no issue, right? But kind of, we all live in Walpole. We have water restriction all the time. So kind of, if you are having all these new buildings, the pressure of waters is, I don't know, if I go to my brother's house in New York, the pressure is much higher, and he pays $150 for the whole year. I pay $130 per month, and the pressure is like, I don't know, how can I say it? And also we have this restriction, we cannot wash our cars, we cannot wash our garden, stuff like that, so that is my concern. So the last concern, my guess the board is taking a decision to go ahead with this and kind of is your call. I just want to make sure that the board needs to open the eyes in the long run. We need to plan ahead of time, not have all these residential, commercial every 50, 60 yards. And also the biggest concern is that the safety. You have cars going up in the left, in the right. If someone makes a mistake, I'll see that car come in my house, or it's going to hit myself or my kid waiting for the bus. So I don't know, kind of.
Okay, thank you for your
Sorry,
comments.
the only thing is that apparently you guys are going ahead with this, is just, please let put a restriction there that there's going to be no manufacturing, no any business that makes noises.
Okay. So, and that's one of the things that we've said, it'll be professional offices on the first floor. So I think we're addressing that issue.
No, but just make sure that when you say professional, because profession is very big word. Profession might be someone that plays guitar all day. So the idea is that kind of, let's make sure that he's professional, that he's a lawyer or accountant, or this kind of, because profession, also you might have professional violinists, there are piano guys.
We have definitions in the bylaw that outlines what's an allowed use. And this board's very familiar with noise and
Because
business zone.
150 yards from our house, especially, these guys.
I live just across the street. My concern is traffic and safety.
Okay, if you want to speak, just come up.
No, just saying, we have a commercial business that make noise all the day. I don't know what they produce. We are all residential that make noise all the day. So we are people, we don't want to call the police every 5 minutes, but that doesn't make any sense. So just let's make sure that these guys are just any lawyers are calm there,
Okay.
not too much noise. So this, but what is my biggest concern is not just for these guys, it's an opportunity to also make money good for them. I just want the board to be aware that, let's make sure it's a big plan for Walpole. We want to have commercial, heavy commercial. In some places, not mixed residential commercial every 50 yards because it doesn't make any sense. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Okay. So I think the board has addressed a lot of those issues that you've raised. One thing, sir, you brought up the dumpster. Let me just ask the applicants. I know it's at the back of the property, there is a buffer. Did you look at other places for the dumpster? Where are you at on that?
The problem, well, the issue that we're coming across is that our whole entire back of our property is abuts his entire back, so anywhere in the rear is still, so to address his concern, it would have to, let me show you on the plans.
No, I've got the plans. I can see exactly.
To move it over here, it's still, you know, in the back, the same distance away from his property.
Okay.
So the only way is, the fire department, they don't think they liked it, you know, up against the property, which would be like right here, sort of. That's where we have our snow storage right now, and, I can't see what.
Yeah. No, you're good.
But they have it, so it's. We are open to moving it if we can, it can be, you know, we can make it work. I just don't know if there's any, you know, obviously can't go to the front of the building. The left side is too tight, along this side over here. And, you know, this is the fire lane here, so there really are not a lot of options. So we put in some more work on screening with the arborvitae's, we work with the fire department, and they have a condition there that it's to be locked, you know, when not used, and gated, so.
Okay.
And
That's what I
think
just
a big
wanted
thing
to ask.
too.
What's that?
I think a big thing too is, maybe you're basing it off of the property next door, 16 units. It probably does have rodents. This is half the size. We're gonna be managing it, you know, we're gonna be there, so, like, we don't foresee that happening because we're gonna be on top of it.
You don't want that as a problem because,
course not.
yeah.
It's
So
not good for
I just wanted to know that I asked this to make sure you've looked at other options and,
Yes.
you know.
And the dumpsters will be covered and
Dumpsters will be
fully
covered and,
enclosed.
Yes,
screened with
fences.
gating and arborvitae's.
Right, but I mean covered, so it'll be a dumpster with a top
with a lid.
on it, a lid, yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Is it where it is to make it easy for the trash guy to pick the dumpster up and empty it?
That's a part of it as well.
Okay, because I mean, I know it wouldn't be ideal, but if they could back around and go out to that little section,
In the back left.
the back left, like on the line of, or close to the line of the other.
I know that, our engineer, Dan, did look at that.
Yeah.
And it removes parking spaces, because that side on the back right needs to stay there for the delivery van, for the fire department, so that's, you know, really
Okay.
that best spot to go, because if you move the trash over there, then you're removing spots, and then, you know, we don't have the required amount.
Okay.
Okay, and let's talk about the fence that the neighbor brought up. I see a white PVC. How, that's gonna be new fence on the back of your property?
Proposing, yeah, all three sides, the 2 sides and the rear could be all brand new.
Oh, Both sides? Oh, so you guys are really gonna be enclosed in there?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's where, right now it's a fallen down chain link from, which is owned by, I believe, the 16-unit apartment building. So that's gonna be, we're gonna put in a new PVC there as well, and,
And
it's
what's-
gonna match it all the way around.
What separates your property from the,
There's a half PVC and half stockade that's falling.
Okay.
I mean, there's arborvitae's there now, but the stockade behind it is.
okay, so it'd be all new fence? Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Yes.
Hey everybody, so I'm Ken from 183 High Plains Street. Just want to appreciate everybody's time here today. I think everybody's like really tired, going back and forth with all of this. But I just had one quick concern. So I just recently came back from a trip in Florida. You know, there was like nice asphalt that was like going towards a house. And I just saw like, we just got like massive like rain and down in like Key West, and like the water just like started like rushing into that building. And I was just kind of curious because my house is kind of really close to that asphalt. I'm wondering if there's any like plans to maybe add some seepage in the asphalt and the concrete, whatever, just to allow the water to like soak down a little bit. I understand that we're on a hill and that there is adequate sloping, but my concern is just maybe like that might not be enough, especially because of how close my house is to all that asphalt. That's just one of my biggest concerns so far. I'm sure Andrew has.
So just to address
Yeah.
that, I know that there is an infiltration system drainage for the property. It all flows to a catch basin, and I'm not, I gotta try to find it here, but.
Yeah, it's on page C4. So, to answer your question, and I think it's a good question to bring up. The runoff from this site should be contained on the site. They're gonna have underground galleys to catch the stormwater, where right now, there is nothing like that, because it's all grass or any pavement that's there, but.
Perfect. I just wondered if that's like a design consideration.
No, it's designed right there, if you see, it's called, what is it called?
Essentially, the pitch that they're proposing would be steering that stormwater towards where the detention basin is. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's, all new projects actually usually improve the drainage in the area, if done correctly. Okay. Anything else? Okay. I think we've come a long way on this. Yeah, tell you, I came into this meeting concerned about the scale of it. I know this is just a rendering. It's 35 feet high. It's allowed, you know, that's allowed within the district. I don't want to go by this driving down 2 years from now and say, yeah, we screwed up on that one. So, okay, I'm very serious, because I drive around towns and I say, how'd that happen? And I think that we're at a pretty good place on this. That's my take. Other board members? Do you have concerns, or Judy?
I guess fences are my thing tonight. Is there anything we can do for the back neighbor? I know 6 foot is it for what we can ask them to do. What would be the course of action to allow or guide them to put in something taller? Be like a variance?
Do you think it's necessary? I mean, 6 foot is he said, the neighbor said 10
Well,
foot.
10
We're not
yeah.
gonna, nobody's doing a 10 foot
No, I
fence.
mean, I think an 8 would be something reasonable. I understand a pool. I really don't know where your pool is. I'm sorry I didn't drive down your driveway to look. But I think standing in someone's backyard like he would be and looking up at the building, there'd be less of the building to look at if the fence was a little bit higher than a 6. But is it a variance requirement?
Yeah, it is. It is a variance requirement, and I'd have to think, can we put it as a condition in I guess, Anybody want to advise on this? Can you put it as a condition on a special permit?
I just have a quick question. Isn't that what the 6 to 8 foot arborvitae's are for?
If the
In
arborvitae's.
addition to the fence,
They're easier
right?
to
Not,
get taller than the fence, if 10 foot's better, I don't know if it's.
but they
six
all,
to-
like, so 6 foot fence, then a line of arborvitae's on top of the existing ones that are there. I don't know what those look
There's-
like,
yeah,
but
there's trees there now.
Existing
but-
growth, yeah.
that could
there's-
potentially grow to 10, 12.
Yeah, you saw those were like 14, 16,
Yeah.
so.
And if the board advised, we could change that from 6 to 8 to 10 foot arborvitae's currently, just so they have to wait a couple of years for them to grow. I think that's easier than a fence variance, but happy to.
Can you repeat that again?
On the plan, it shows 6 to 8 foot arborvitae's, but we're happy to change that to 10 or, 10 foot arborvitae's.
They
if that's
start out
easier.
bigger instead of having to wait a year.
More mature trees
Yeah.
that are just buying 10 foot trees, 6 foot, 10 foot, it's there.
Right. I think that's easier than the variance, but.
Yeah, I think effectively you'll have screening above the 6 foot that's provided by the arborvitae. And if they are amenable to doing 10 feet right off the bat, it won't be completely filled in, but I think within a few years, it'll be.
If that solves the
Pretty well done.
concern, then we can do 10 foot.
Okay, so let me just throw this out there. 10-foot arborvitae's, and they'd be planted 10 foot on center. So every 10 feet, there'd be,
How are they, I'm sorry, I should know, but how are they spaced out right now? They 10 feet right now?
I don't know what's
The existing
Yeah, 'cause
ones?
I believe they're close together.
Yeah, they're close,
Typically-
they're much closer together.
Typically, arborvitae's are like around 6 feet, so, I mean, we're happy to
no, I'd, then
keep them as close as possible.
6 foot on center?
Obviously with,
6 foot on center. That's, I think what we're trying to do is create a natural buffer
Yeah,
that's
a
going
natural
to, in
fence.
time, actually be.
So I have arborvitae's on this side, but where my pool is kind of up. So when you stand around the pool, you can literally see the property behind. That's why I'm saying, if we have a taller fence and you put these arborvitae's, I won't be able to see. But right now, even a 6 foot, because I've got a platform, so the 6 foot fence is really a 3 foot, so I can still see over.
Yeah.
But a 10 foot arborvitae's, right, if they were appropriately spaced and
Right, but
planted.
there aren't any there right now.
No, no,
that I
yeah,
can see.
that's what we're saying, in place of what's not there, 6 foot, and then 10 foot, which gets you to your 10 feet now. Appropriately spaced, whatever the standard is, and or within 6 feet, whatever's
So-
closer.
The plan that they reference is the landscaping plan. L1 indicates that those are 10, or actually there's a 16 count for the site, but there's 10 shown in the location by the dumpster itself. Green giant arborvitae's, the size that's given on the landscape plan is 9 to 10 feet in height. I mean, if that's something where, obviously, if the applicant's amendable, changing the height size between 10 to 12, I don't know if that's even.
That's not even possible.
Yeah.
9 to 10 is about as big as you're gonna
Big as
get.
you can get, yeah.
But that's,
So, yeah, so it is marked on the plan as such, being 9 to 10.
Is that spacing or?
I'd have to get a ruler out. Yeah, no, I mean, it's just the plan itself, I don't know if you wanna go to that, it's sheet L1. And so the 10 count that's right by the dumpster, as I think that's what we're addressing right now.
They do, I don't know if they grow 2 feet a year. I mean, mine are taking, they take a while to grow.
That's
that one.
That's what our, when we went into, that's what our engineer said, but, yeah, I mean, that's,
Yeah.
it's not, actually probably,
I think they're staggered as well, so it's kinda, it'll give that, the goal is to have,
They might grow 6, 7 inches a year, that's about it.
yeah.
You're not seeing where he's.
I'm not seeing the arborvitae. Um, 16 TP.
So right now, 10 of them are sort of clumped around where the
dumpster.
dumpster is, and the other 6 are at the other end, and
Yeah,
I
there's
think
a
we're.
group of trees existing that it shows, so we're just sort of filling in the gaps.
Okay.
Yeah, but those are also maple trees, so when leaves fall, you can
The maple, yeah, so we can see everything.
Okay. Leaving the fence, we're not talking about taking out the fence, but does it make sense to have basically a row of arborvitaes planted every 6 feet along the back property line to provide a natural buffer? Does that accomplish what you want?
So if we could, in addition to the fence, just put the arborvitae's right behind the fence
On their side?
on their side, I'm fine with that.
We're okay with that.
You're okay with that?
And if you can put them already, 9 to 10 feet tall, I'm fine with that. So that'll create an additional.
We can do that.
And they'd be planted every 6 feet?
Yeah, they'll, ideally.
I'd say the exact, what the standard is, because.
Okay.
Whatever's shorter, 6 feet on the standard.
Exactly, yeah.
We want 'em to
If
be
it's
cut.
shorter, that's fine, we just wanna make sure that it's that natural, it's a natural fence, so, that it's all filled in. 6 feet might be too,
I think 6 feet is too
wide.
much, yeah.
Yes, it might be too wide.
Okay. So that's a condition, an added condition.
Provide a constant perfume smell.
Everything's,
Trash.
everything through the
Spray
board.
it in the air.
I think, on the trash, I think we're trying to figure out how to do it, but again, they want it to be as clean and as good as possible. So they've looked at other options. I don't think we're gonna resolve that one, but I think we've got the buffer. I think we've got the buffer.
So can we just recap that? So what, are we still doing those in addition to fence plus the line of arborvitae's all
Yes,
the way?
fence, 6-foot PVC fence, plus,
Not 8?
no, I can't.
I tried.
I'm not gonna break a zoning bylaw,
No, I just didn't know if there was a way to
I-
massage it a little bit. I
But
don't know.
I think what we're really accomplishing with the arborvitae's is we're solving the problem better than an 8-foot fence. I think it does a better job. So, it can be taller. So,
We suggest, because we're on the request list, it is possible to have us, to request to be a sign on the road that the trucks are not allowed to stand or stop in that area?
so that's what we call, that becomes an enforcement issue, and we can put out I don't think a sign is necessary. I think it needs to be that the drivers don't stop there, because even if there's a sign there, they can still stop there.
Okay, but if it is a sign, they can get a fee, so they can get a fine if the sign and the police see those guys stop.
I mean, the zoning board cannot put up signs that would,
The same
Either.
because an Amazon truck tax these guys and tax all of us, because we're going to get a bottleneck for everyone. If that is possible, it's not possible.
I mean, I know exactly what he's talking about. I see it all the time at West Street.
They do have a lot of site access here, like, to pull in. You'd be kind of taking, does anyone stop right now?
Mr. Chair.
The difficulty is we can't really make them
Mr. Chair.
responsible for what the Amazon driver does, I mean,
So,
you can put a
there
sign
was a
that says
proposed
that-
condition, vehicles utilized for the moving of tenants to and from the site and delivery of goods or packages shall be parked solely within the project site and at all times avoid parking along High Plain Street. In terms of actual enforcement, that's not anything this board can control,
But
but we can have
to
that.
answer your question, we've put it in there as a condition.
Yeah.
And that becomes an enforcement, that's an enforcement issue that is not for the zoning board. We design it the best we can with the applicant and everybody. Okay.
Can you guys plant some trees in front of the house? I mean, from the street side?
So have you seen the plan? Yeah, pull up the plan, yeah, right there. There's 2 big trees planted on the front.
Oh, those are trees?
Yeah.
Those are maple trees or?
It's a red maple.
Nice
red maples in front.
Yep. That's a nice tree. Okay. I think we've made a lot of progress on this, and
The mailbox going to be on the road or going to be?
Nope.
Inside the building.
Where is it?
Inside the building.
Inside the building? Okay.
Side entrance.
Wait,
I believe it's the side entrance.
side entrance? Okay. Okay. Yes, Mr. O'Leary. Do you want to just come on up, please? Sorry.
Larry, Washington Street. Has any issues with the fire department turning been addressed?
Oh, they've all been addressed. Yeah, we've spent a huge amount of time on that.
Okay, that's all I wanted to ask.
Yeah. Yeah, the fire department is okay with access in and out of the site. Patrick, on the draft, I forget, do we have something about no left turn?
So the language I have is under condition 9, no left turn sign for restricted hours shall be placed by the entrance to the site. The restricted hours shall be determined by the project developer and applicable municipal staff at a later date and implemented before the issuance of a certificate of occupancy. So the applicant had mentioned, is a note on the site plan that references hours. Moment. So the hours reference, it's on layout notes, number 5. No left turn sign at the entrance to the site shall be posted with the hours 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. These hours shall be revised if requested by the town engineer or police department. So,
Yeah, so let's just find out from the police department, their traffic control officer, and
I think, yeah, that's kind of where I left it open-ended, because it to be determined by applicable municipal staff what those actual hours should be.
Just one more thing.
Sure.
When you're lining up all the arborvitae's,
I'm not gonna be doing it.
there's trees there, so does that mean you're gonna be cutting trees? Because there's a couple of trees that are literally
Hanging over.
hanging over.
Happy to take, clean those trees up, and, I know that's why he left out the arborvitae's in some sections, because there's already vegetation there. So I think to fully
Yeah,
mature.
but I mean, it's just a trunk and, so that's.
Yeah, I think
So-
I'm happy to plant them 6 feet regardless of what's there, and just, if there's some trees there, we'll have to work with,
It sounds like you'd like them out.
I'd like a couple of those out, because they're hanging literally over my,
Yeah.
I'm afraid they're gonna fall and break the fence.
Okay, so, so that's, we'll call that site work, site prep work.
Okay.
And, but at the end, there'll be a fence and arborvitae's that will provide some buffer for the neighbors. Plus, there is a what's the buffer? 26-foot buffer, a vegetated buffer already, which we've seen worse, so, okay. Anything else, board members? Neighbors, last chance for comments, because I think we're ready to close the hearing. Okay. Okay, do you want to close the hearing?
Yes.
Okay. At the request of the applicant, could I have a motion to close case number 22-1?
So moved.
Moved by Dave,
Second.
second by Drew. Any further discussion? Oh,
Dave is excluded.
oh, Dave, sorry.
But not on the actual
So-
vote itself. So, because Dave has missed 2 meetings,
Yep.
he's unable to file.
I'm sorry, I should have, so it's regular board members,
And Mr. Higgler and Ms. Conroy.
okay. So Judy, Tim, and the 3 other board members. Okay, thank you, Stephen, thank you. Okay, so, voting on this, I just said who will be voting on it. And to close the hearing, could I have somebody, a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Moved by Judy,
Second.
second by Drew. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, we have a draft decision.
Take a vote on closing the hearing.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Got a lot of them on the
I
plate
know.
tonight.
All those, this is just to close the hearing. All those in favor of closing the hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, so carried. Okay, so we have the draft decision and a few things that we're gonna add from tonight. The fence, I guess it's shown in the plan, but we're gonna just clarify. It's a 6-foot fence in the back of the property, and planted along the fence on the development side will be 9 to 10-foot arborvitae's planted every 6 feet, or whatever's recommended by the minimum of 6 feet apart, to provide a buffer. What else did we have for,
I believe on condition 2, the applicant agreed to the affordability being in perpetuity, so I think we should just
Oh, yeah.
note that.
It's a 30, okay.
not 30 years in perpetuity?
Condition 1, too, I just, more of a clerical thing, the revised date is May 23rd, 2022, as reference for the architectural renderings. That's actually June 21st, 2022, so that's just a minor change there.
Okay, I think we addressed the bit about the signage for out front.
Mr. Chairman, number 11, the sidewalk, was it to be repaved or concrete? Did I hear concrete?
Engineer specified what they were looking
You did specify concrete.
Can we say repaved with concrete?
I
Does
guess.
that- yeah.
It's probably,
Shall-
it sounds like an oxymoron
Yeah,
to me.
how about just
but-
shall be,
Resurfaced?
Redone with concrete?
Also, just wanted to make sure that they're putting that professional service on noise.
Yep, we're gonna get to that. But so condition number 4, the proposed first floor commercial space will be utilized for professional office space only. So that's,
Do we need to
Right in.
identify in the zoning book the section, or is it?
I actually think it's pretty well identified what
Identified.
is,
Professional.
what's considered professional office, you know.
There's a section, professional office,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, that's fine.
So, surprised you're not familiar with that.
I am.
Yeah. Does anybody think we need to go, I don't think we need to go further than that. I think that addresses your concern. What else? Other conditions that we talked about tonight?
Can I just,
No, the hearing closed, but you can ask a procedural question, as we'd like to say.
it's the garbage again in the back. Can we make sure that, because I learned from the experience of the other apartment building, that there's not, you know, futons and sofas just left out and about in the parking lot?
Okay,
Can we address that?
so let's see. Bob, do you have any wording for, who's got some wording for all
Furniture?
all trash or furniture needs to be in the enclosed?
I would,
within
I would suggest maybe a condition stating that the dumpster location shall be maintained and emptied weekly. I'm assuming that's what you're doing, to be emptying on a weekly schedule, so maintained and emptied weekly. I don't know if that's
That doesn't
covering
solve.
food. I mean, if it's maintained weekly, then I
So-
could cleaned.
What I think we want to avoid is people that move out on the first of the
Yeah.
week, first of the month, or the last day of the month, and there's couches and futons and, you know, stuff that gets left next to the dumpster site.
That's a management
Yeah.
issue. You know,
We're happy to.
you're gonna know when your tenants are
That's what
moving, you're gonna know when your tenants are gonna move out. You do a walkthrough, you see what's outside, you deal with it.
Yeah, and part of, part of the leases and everything like that is
Mhm.
gonna include, no just throwing futons and mattresses wherever, so.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think it's more of an operational.
Right,
I think it's,
I think we're getting into the weeds on,
Right.
on that.
I, if it's an issue, pick up the phone.
No, that's-
I'm sure you have his number.
But, no, I think what we try to do is we try to set it up so that things are, they're done correctly. And then again, it's like the parking on, the Amazon driveway, it's easier to pull in than park on the road. And that's sort of how it's been created. Okay, what else? Anything else? So we've got the conditions. We've got the fence, we've got the buffer. We addressed the left-hand turn. I think we've got everything. Okay. Board members, you comfortable with this? Everybody? The hearing's closed, but do you have a procedural, do you have a question like,
When we say rent, they are going to have, they're going to be, let's say, a year rent, right? They're not going to have any monthly guys or kind of every 3 months.
That's not our plan.
I didn't under,
I didn't
Like short-term
Yeah,
rentals.
Yeah, do you have any short-term rentals?
Airbnb,
You can't, you can't do.
that's not something that we can regulate or would regulate, I mean,
That's not.
But if you have the information that might be monthly renters, change completely the whole story, right?
it could. But it's not gonna change it from a zoning perspective. So, okay. So, with the conditions outlined that we've gone through, and the draft decision, could I have a motion to approve case number 22-1 for 173 High Plains Street, based on the draft decision and the plans dated with the last revision of July 14th, 2022?
So moved.
Moved by Judy,
Second.
second by Drew. Any further discussion on this? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, so carried. Okay, good luck with this.
Thank you all very much.
Good luck to the neighbors, hope it works out for everybody.
Thank you.
Can we take a step out?
No, that one got
Bristol,
So we don't have 2212? Yeah, Bristol. Yeah. Okay. You're right. This is,
50-foot buffer line.
Just as a procedural comment on, I really appreciate the work that tried really hard to address, not everything was resolved, but that's the way it should be done.
you should have done that at the beginning. But, you're right. Before you start.
I know.
Okay, good evening. Thank you for being so patient. We've had a busy schedule tonight. If you would identify yourself for the record, and we'll get going on this.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Should read the public hearing notice first.
Oh, yeah, let me read the public hearing announcement. Notice is hereby given that the zoning board of appeals for the town of Walpole will hold a public hearing in the main meeting room of Town Hall on Wednesday, July 20th at 7 PM, closer to 9. On an application from Bristol Brothers Development Corporation, case number 22-12, with respect to properties located at Renmar Ave and West Street. Assesses parcels and lists a number of them. This is in the zoning districts Limited Manufacturing, Residence B, and Residence A. The application is for a variance under the zoning bylaws section 10C2A3, requiring the development have a minimum setback along the perimeter of 50 feet in order to permit certain proposed modifications to the previously approved project. So, this project was already approved by the planning board.
Correct.
You've done site work, and now you're before us. We have a letter from the town engineer, who offers the following comments. The engineering department is familiar with the site and the original approval. We have attended work sessions with the developer's engineer and understand the various site constraints and issues that are leading to a modification of the original design. Further, we find the issues discussed in the supplemental narrative to be factual. From an engineering standpoint, we are not aware of any technical issues that would prevent the board from granting relief. Therefore, we have no objections to the board doing so and are of the opinion that it would be a better project with it. Okay. And we have a letter from your counsel. Looks like, Patrick, that's the only letter from
town staff, correct.
Town staff. Okay. Okay. Good evening. If you would just identify yourself for the record and tell us what you're proposing.
Excellent, thank you very much. My name is Jeff Toccio. I'm counsel for the Bristol Brothers Development. With me is Gabe Crocker, who's in the blue shirt. He's our site engineer. We've got Ms. Taylor Casano from his office as well, and then Jim Bristol, one of the owners, is here as well. What we're looking at is 55 plus or minus acres, as you had mentioned in the notice. It's on West Street, also Renmar. What I can do is I can just show you real quickly some of the history and the maps. I'll go through quickly. If you have any questions, please just slow me down. What we've got is 55 acres. We've got Renmar Ave, which is here at the top, and then we've got West Street, which is over to the left. What we did was we have approvals from February of 2020 for 100. They're single-family condominiums, 55 and over. So that's in place, and what we did was, multiple hearings, et cetera. Some of the issues that we're dealing with, we did have multiple zones, and that all fit in once we were able to put the AQV 10 over it. You folks will probably recognize, and my eyes aren't that great right here, but this blank spot is the 250-foot wide Boston Edison, now at Eversource, easement for the high-tension wires, so those define the site. Historically, there was a quarry that was on the site, which has been quarried by the Bristol family for decades, and that's what they use it for, active quarrying. What they did when they came in, Forest Road comes in off of West Street. That was the original access point that they were envisioning. And then what happened was when Jim Bristol spoke to the neighbors, they said, are there any other opportunities where you can move something? They've got all tight houses on either side if you've been up there. What they did as a result is they purchased the house over at, which number is it? It's 534, which is right down on West Street. It's been there since 1936. It's about 1,500 square feet, and it's got a value of about $600,000 now. That was purchased, and what we did was we went through the process with the planning board where we designed and have approval of the roadway, which goes in where that property is, and that formed the basis of the approval. What's happened is that in November 2021, so just basically last fall, we were in a situation where we went into the planning board with some ideas to be able to make some improvements to the plan between the original approved and then where we are now. What's happened is we ran into some different issues with respect to removing stone, a lot of the grading and earthwork that was involved. And then it became apparent to us that we could make some changes to the property that would make for a better project. Originally, one of the components was that this was approved in 3 phases. So basically, we'll say an A, a B, and then a C phase. What happened was, when we came through, we planned it all so that B would be the first phase, which would build out C, and then we'd finish up at A down closer to West Street. As a result, what we did was we located the clubhouse and mailroom within the B, or the middle segment. It's not an optimal spot. It's kind of hanging out there towards the end, over near, overhanging Renmar, if you will. If you go down Renmar, say you're going down, you look up over to the right, you can see that this property is really elevated. Not an optimal spot, but it fit with the design and everything, basically laid out. The other thing that I should mention as I go through our original plan is that you'll notice that a lot of the streets are extremely straight. We had some different issues with respect to fire and the length of the roads for public safety. And then also what happened was, you can see here is what we have for the easement. The easement was off slightly with the angle, if you will, and what that did was that resulted in a change in the alignment of some of the houses. What was also from the first is we had 19 houses which are situated here in the section A, if you will. 10 of those houses back up to the property line where we've got the Forest Road neighborhood in here. So approved, that was the approved condition. What's happened is, since the approval, we've gone to a greater level. Jim started to do the site work. We've had their design team look at it, and their comment was, well, obviously an engineer laid these roads out. There are different opportunities to come in. You'll notice that the plan that we showed to the planning board back in November, it just arrays better, it swings better. What it does also, which is really important, is we had 19 houses with 10 up against Forest Road. Now we're down to 14, and only 4 of them are against Forest Road. Additionally, what we're able to do is we're able to drop the road by about 5 feet in grade, takes out some of the slope when you go in there. That also results in the houses, this is Sand Trap Road, correct? Circle, excuse me. What happens is it allows us to also suppress those somewhat. What that does is that reduces the approved retaining walls that we had retaining the property from the kind of the slope going down to Renmar. And additionally, we had originally a drainage basin in this cul-de-sac. That's been removed. That's been moved over. So we're in a situation where it's more attractive. It adds value to the properties, and it results in a better design. The piece that we're in for today involves up in front. I'm sorry, Gabe. Up in front, where we have a basin which is approved in the current configuration, and that lends itself to one of the really interesting conditions here, is that everything down here to the west, MBTA land, and that's the old city mills. There was it's a ghost paper subdivision from 1888, and what's happened is, going into the modern time right now, the town has it as MBTA land, and it's part of where the railroad tracks are. If you get on West Street, we all know the crossing, the bridge, we'll say, and then we've got a situation where we've got the MBTA line. What's happened is, if you look in here and you go through and you do the title, you can actually see these very small lots, paper lots, and there are also paper streets. The property that's up front which Mr. Bristol purchased. You can see up in here. It also includes this triangular piece, which is about 4,500 square feet. And then what happens is Broadway is an old paper street that bisects those two properties. Under the derelict fee statute, which is just a function of Massachusetts law, those two properties are owned to the center line by the two abutting. In this case, they're both the same abutter, but technically those two merge, which presents a very interesting situation. What we're looking at, and we went through earlier when we got our original approval, is there's a 50-foot setback around the perimeter, and that, the purpose of that is to provide for distance between buildings and the property line to, have neighbor privacy and to provide some adequate space that's there. What we're doing this evening, this is kind of step two to when we were before the planning board back in November. We showed this proposed modification to them on a, this is what we have, this is what we're thinking, and I went through pretty much the same presentation as I did with you right now, but we did it in more detail because they were with us, month after month. We were working all of this out, so they were really, they had really good grasp of all of the different issues with drainage, where the roadways were placed, et cetera. And I will say, the comment was, okay, positive, very positive. But guess what? We have to come in for the 50-foot, and I'll show you why. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove what we propose and give you a better scale. Where the basin is now provides us an opportunity going up front to repurpose the house, which is there that I mentioned earlier, 534 West Street. Again, it's been there. It's since 1936. It's got a really nice positioning on West Street. It's located over 50 feet away from West Street, so the setback is significant. Taylor, do we have the photographs of the house? I'll ask Taylor to give you some of the photos of the house just to refresh where we're at. But we've got an opportunity where, in putting together the better layout, we can do so without exceeding the approved number of 100 dwelling units. So we're capped. That's one of the things that the planning board asked us, you guys better not be looking for more units. We're not. What we're looking to do is we're looking to rearrange units and be able to be in a position to repurpose that front house. Also, it's apparent to us that going through and working on phase A, which is the one up front, would now be the natural first phase, then B, then C. The reason that the clubhouse was in phase B was that was going to be the first, phase that was worked on. We're no longer stuck with putting the clubhouse in the mailroom and in phase B. So what we do propose, and I'm going to do my best with the angle, and I'm also going to put some glasses on, so I apologize. It's tough getting old. So we've got, again, West Street. So this is to the north. We fit in Forest Road as well. And then we've got basically the entrance. Again, MBTA is all here. And then the 1888 Cedar Mill subdivision, you can see it in the lighter. We reduced some of the darkness. Again, Broadway, which is the paper street, triangular parcel owned by Bristol Brothers. And then also he controls this front parcel, which is where the house is. The house is shown right here in this darker red color. That's to be retained. There's a garage that is also shown. That is to be demolished. And then we've got a smaller shed type structure, which is on the triangle. The other pieces that are in this lighter color would be, in this instance, additions to the existing house. And then we've got a new structure 2, new structure 3, and then a clubhouse. These two would operate as basically the model home and then the sales office, allowing us to come in, and as we do Phase A, I'll say, be in a position to do this work upfront early, be able to clean it up, get the grass in, get the places looking nice, get something finished which shows its front face to West Street and to the public. What is also shown right in here is the 50-foot setback through, obviously, what we've got is a situation where the existing house is already pre-existing non-conforming, but we are changing the use, right? So we're changing the property lines, so we don't have the benefit of all of the pre-existing non-conforming zoning protections, so we do require a variance for that. Additionally, these two houses, you can see, are both within within the permitted area, but also go within the 50-foot setback. Mr. Bristol has, I'm losing everything, Mr. Bristol, it's fine, has since purchased 530 West Street, and that's, well beyond the 50 feet that we've got as far as a setback. The only property that would be subject to an incursion into the 50 feet would be the Ghost subdivision, the MBTA, now basically the MBTA property that's next to the train lines. So when I go through the statutory criteria for a variance, that's one of the huge pieces is that the property owner that would be adjacent, that would benefit from a 50-foot setback, it's not, there's no one living there. It's basically it's a train line and it's other property which is already owned by the Bristols. Otherwise, we comply with the 50. We worked really hard to meet the 50. This also is in a situation where if the purpose is to increase buffers to neighbors, et cetera, we're in a situation where we already meet the 50 for the units that are already approved against the Forest Road. We're actually able to reduce the number of those, reduce those in height. It just really advances what the interests are behind that buffer. But again, it's just a situation where it's something that is exercised in this one very unique position. What I'd like to do, if you don't, may I ask, are there questions before I go into the statutory criteria and how it applies on any of the factual information I've just provided? And again, Carl looked at this, and I think he said that he backed up all the factual assertions that we're at right now. Hearing none, under
Board members,
48.
does anybody have any questions? Is everybody following this? Because I'll tell you.
Yep.
What's that?
Yes.
You might have prior
Because
knowledge
I
of
watch
this.
zoning and planning all the time.
Yeah, so.
Must see TV.
Yeah, definitely, you're putting a lot out there right now. And this board is actually very familiar with the derelict fee act situation from other places in town, so, yeah, let's,
Just, I guess, one clarifying question. The 50-foot setback we're talking about, there's a line shown, I think it says 50-foot perimeter setback.
Right.
That's from Weather Vane Drive?
No, so what that's from is basically Broadway, which is the property line at the Paper Street, and we don't rely upon the derelict fee statute whatsoever. We drew up a couple of different drawings, and if we do, what happens is this 50-foot line significantly V's down, but we needed a variance in any event, and we didn't want to get too fancy with claiming that. I mention that with it's something that's not common in the neighborhood, and it's something that really affects a lot shape. Not many lots have paper streets that bisect them, and then that are also nearly entirely circled by an MBTA right-of-way. So that's what's important to the way that we put it together. And Mr. Chairman, that's why I wanted to go through all of it and just kind of run it out chronologically. And again, any questions, what I wanted to do is just get it to you folks so that you could see the big picture. What is basically going to happen is we're in a position to, in the first instance, really improve this, we'll say, Phase A, like significantly. The forest, the forest neighborhood really benefits from these changes. It's also extremely beneficial from the perspective of being able to work with the grade that's now there. Once they get into the ground, it's all ledge. It was a quarry. It winds up being a position where they can use that and work with what's basically resulted from the blasting and the removal there, and additionally take out, for example, as I mentioned, the approved stormwater basin, which was in that cul-de-sac in that A, and be in a position to move that away as well. Just a lot of advantages. There are other advantages on the layouts for B and C.
Can I ask you a question before you go on to that?
Yes.
How do those advantages derive from the grant of the variance? I mean, it sounds like the relocation of the infiltration basin and all of that is sort of independent of the grant or not grant of the variance. I'm trying to understand how the improvements that you're talking about.
Well, what happens is the improvements, and I'll call it a chain reaction. So if we get into this position, what happens is we're able to get these 3 structures. One, reuse the one that's already there. But what it does, it allows us, instead of destroying one and then constructing 100 in the entire back, it allows us to retain one, construct these 2 up front, and what it does is it allows for, I'll say, breathing room for us to make the geometric changes that resulted in pulling all of the houses away. So for example, you'll note here, I mean, we have the line of houses, which is against the utility easement. These houses have all been designed so that they're oriented in a way that they focus on internal, like courtyards and porches, and not necessarily going off the back and or being in your kitchen staring at the lines. Originally, what had happened is the line wound up being against the forest neighborhood. So what happens is, by being able to go into this one variance into the side for 55 acres, this is all that is required to transform this tighter, not geometrically great project into something which has all of these benefits. The benefits, we'll say, to forest, that neighborhood. Also, we've got benefits just from the streetscape. You're not going to have that house demolished. It's nice. You can see the bones. We're actually able to get that, finish that, make that into a productive use. It's got some garages, little additions to it, but that remains over 50 feet from West Street, so it conforms. It just happens that you've got this nice house that could stay there for the next 100 years because it's it's pre-existing non-conforming. Just because we're doing this overall 55 and over project, it seems to be not necessarily consistent with the intent of the bylaw to destroy something which is, it's a useful asset. Someone will live there one day, and someone will live there and say, I live at the house on West Street. The house has been there, it's been there for generations. It would be very, very positive to keep it, and then to be in a position to have the other structures up front. It allows for us to make the place be able to breathe back there, and then also we've got the clubhouse and the mailroom right up front. So before, where residents coming in, we'll say in an after construction situation, everyone had to go down kind of this dead end in the middle of the approved project. What this does is, this is very consistent with the other weather vane properties, where the mailroom is something that when you pull into the property, it's something very quickly that you can get to, and then once you pick up your mail, you're on your way. Additionally, Amazon trucks and vans, et cetera, will make deliveries to that, so that keeps those from getting into the property. As it is now, you know, those are all coming into the middle of the property and then going down that dead end to get to the clubhouse. Is it workable? Sure. It was approved. It was our plan that, you know, we own it 100%. That's kind of one of the problems. It's like we own this 100%. We want to make it better. We hope that we're able to show you folks the statutory requirements for the variance, so that you folks, you know, agree that, you know, hopefully we can all get together, make it better as a better product. We only touch these for a short amount of time. After they're approved, after they're built out, sure, there's the condominium association, but we want it to be a good project. If you'd heard any of the planning, Taylor, you have any of the weather vane handouts that I grabbed this afternoon? He's got the Weymouth property. It's like 149 of these, same product, same construction, same sizes, just tremendously successful. I think the highest residential taxpayer in the town of Weymouth. It's a success. We've got others of these which are being built in Pembroke. We've got, where else are we? We've got the one in Hingham, but we've got this product, and what happens is it's really hitting the 55 and over, deed restricted, you know, scenario. They're good revenue generators for towns, and the values are really strong. They wind up having a very positive impact on surrounding properties. In this instance, you can see we just passed out. Those are examples of other houses that Jim's sons took the pictures of the exteriors, the interiors. They stay with the product. When they have a house and they spec a house, they can have someone actually go to Weymouth and walk them into a house and say, no, this is what we can build for you. And that's something that they would expect, that until they get the models up, you know, they can be in that position as well. When I look at just the criteria, if we go through the 40A Section 10, I've gone through some of the details in the
So,
filing.
Can you point to where you're looking for the relief on this? I mean,
Yes.
we've talked a lot about
Yes.
the whole site.
Yep.
So 50 feet from the back.
So it's 50 feet from the west property line along the paper street that is identified as Broadway.
Yeah, okay.
So it's right, basically, it swings right here. And you can see with the 50-foot, which descends down from the east, that comes in here. So one right here, we do not need a variance for that because this garage is going to be demolished. So, you know, anything here demolished, and then this is to remain. So basically, everything that's below this line in the incursion is somewhere between, you know, it could be 20, 26.
It's almost
26
half,
feet.
almost half the building is in the buffer.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And then again, the buffer, you know, setback, it's not a buffer, it's a setback. And again, it's, if we own this triangle, there's a paper street in between, and then everything here is MBTA until you get to the baseball field, way far away. We believe that imposition of, you know, we got 55 acres, we have it everywhere. What with, including here, because we had to put a basin up here and demolish the house, we believe that it makes just an abundant amount of sense to be able to repurpose the house, use this property, because there is no abutter there. There will never be an abutter there. So in effect, if it's denied, you know, the 50-foot is very important to the board there, it would be an illusory setback to protect nothing. And we think that the advantages of just protecting a 140-something-year-old paper subdivision, which is never going to be built, versus everything that we can bring to the table to, you know, the Forest neighborhood with respect to the reduction in the number of the houses abutting their back, reducing the height of those houses. We just think that the overall package, that's we're trying to accomplish for ourselves, for the town. We just think that it makes just tremendous sense. We're still gonna get 100 condominium units regardless. The town's gonna get 100 units regardless. We're in a position where we're saying, we can do it a lot better, and a lot better for streetscape, a lot better for forest, and a lot better for the people who are going to live here. And I can answer any more questions. Yes, is Drew?
The, Chairman, the Triangle property was acquired with 534?
Yeah, it's a part of it.
Okay.
So it's always been a part, and the town recognizes them as.
And you have intention from your,
What we'd like to do, and we need to go to the basically, we have to go to the planning board. We're thinking that would be a great pickleball court or benches, something along those lines.
so potentially tenants of your property would be traveling through the area not owned by you to get to your pickle courts or whatever other activity area? Is that correct?
If we do it, what they do
Okay.
is they'd come out, the clubhouse is here.
Yeah.
So, there's some pretty good opportunities to link them. And again, we have to get the planning board to say, that's a good idea. We floated it to them. They don't vote, they don't say yes, but, we got a vibe from them, working with them so long. We sense that they felt that that was potentially positive. We have to apply.
And the intention for 530 West Street, you were gonna demolish that?
No, 530 for now, stays as a home for now.
Both 530 and 534, we would reskin and re-roof, do new windows to match the designs of the new homes.
Okay, 530 is directly to the northeast of, yes, that's
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Is that the yellow house?
So it allows us, where we are now, we've kind of got an approved, cut, right, with some width, which you'd expect. Going forward, this allows us to kind of keep the existing residential structures, finish them, they're basically roofed, skinned, et cetera, to look like the rest of the product. It's a nice transition.
One final question. Your drawing here shows light pink shaded area around the existing house.
Yes.
So are you transforming the actual shape and look of that house?
Yes, so
Okay.
so one's a garage, and then I think is it a porch, Jim, on the front?
First floor master suite, currently that house has bedrooms upstairs, so we make it out of 55 and over, we'd add a first floor master suite and a garage.
Okay.
So those are the components, the garages, the master suites, just for people who are,
Just because you mentioned a few times about the look and trying to keep it consistent, but now you're saying you're modifying that look, am I correct in understanding that, or?
yeah, and it's going to be, it'll be skinned to look like the rest of
the
the
properties.
properties as well.
Okay.
But the structure is going to be there, 1936. It's, it's going to be substantially the, same structure with some of the additions that make, that are useful to people looking
Right.
for a 55 and over home.
All the exterior treatments would be the same that we do with the new homes. So
Okay,
the idea to make it architecturally blend with the rest of the community.
got it.
So the photos that, those are just examples of what
right.
they use. And where they're condominiums, the exteriors, condominium associations, they maintain the exteriors of the homes, landscaping, et cetera. So it's also a situation where the neighborhood comes in and you don't get situations where you've got things degrading over time. Everything's maintained, there are budgets, there are reserves, so it winds up being a good addition to this corner.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you very much. So with that, what I've done is I can go through each of the statutory criteria if you'd like. You probably noticed that I intertwined it into the overall presentation. I was trying to be careful. If you can bear with me real quickly, I'll go through that if you'd like. So what we've got is, we've got situation with the soils, shape topography that, would not necessarily be common in the neighborhood. We've got the triangular parcel separated from Broadway, the paper street, We've got the interesting derelict fee statute issue that we are not availing ourselves of. Does not make sense. We need a variance regardless. And then, you know, we've got the situation where in the front phase, we ran into more ledge than we had anticipated, kind of an extension of the earlier quarry or operations. And in getting that to the usable grade, it began to give us opportunities where we can make some of the changes to be able to make the grades of the roadway coming in less steep, and then also be in a position to suppress the overall height of the houses on Sand Trap. Literal enforcement would cause substantial hardship. We believe that the demolition of the 1936 house it's got a Zillow value of $600,000 currently, which is 50 feet from West Street, over 50 feet from 530, and even with the front master will still be more than the 50 feet away from West Street. We just think that that would be just tremendously wasteful, waste an asset of the town. Demolishing a perfectly usable home, particularly a home that's been there since 1936 as part of the neighborhood, you know, would invoke a hardship on the developer.
Just a question on that.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned that that home presently is legally non-conforming.
Yes.
So it could stay as is, right? It's not, what's the why is it required to be
Yeah,
demolished?
so it's required, excellent question. Because we're erasing property lines to make it part of the overall AQV, what'll happen is because it's an overall condominium project, what happens is we erase the original, you know, pre-existing property lines.
The internal lines.
And what that does is that kind of erases the legal protections that are existing. The house doesn't change, the house doesn't move, that property line that it's closest to doesn't move, nothing changes, but the act of making it into a condominium, you know, basically the protections that are available under 40A disappear legally. And we discussed that with the planning board, and we were on board with them. They were on board with us. They actually had seen that before. We've seen that before. So I don't think there's any argument.
We actually asked them
Yeah.
if they could grant relief as a waiver.
Yes.
Under their powers, but they at the time said no.
Right.
But the relief is from the Broadway, correct?
Yes, exactly. It's from the Broadway side.
And so that, the property line for that unit, or for the entire property is not changing, right?
Correct.
As a result of the internal lot lines are all going away, but the exterior lines are the same.
Exactly. The perimeter is exactly the same. So that house, as it presents itself to the world, you know, it doesn't change relative to the property line, or we just keep going further. We've got plans that we used before, but there's the MBTA right-of-way, there's the bridge, there's the ball field. It's just, when you look at it, the scale's not usable for you folks tonight. It's your town. You'd probably have driven past it for years. It's extremely distant. So the prospect of, you know, the 50-foot being something that would outweigh all of these benefits, there's nobody to protect. There's nothing to protect. There's, you know, the sound of trains. And
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand the need to demolish it.
Yeah.
It seems like the relevant property line is not changing, so it's legally non-conforming as to that setback, and it would continue to be. It's legally non-conforming as to that setback, and it would continue to be going forward, regardless of the fact that you're eliminating the interior lines.
Yeah, we don't disagree, and the planning board doesn't either. I don't believe that your town council either. It makes total sense, and in the real world, it just makes tremendous sense. But when you go to the 48 protections, changing overall the lot kind of throws out that protection. I wish if it were so, you know, we wouldn't be in a position of having that come in before you folks. And when we were with the planning board back in November, that was where we left it. You know, I think the comment was, all right, Counselor, we'll see you when you get back from the ZBA. So we've been putting this together, figuring out the best configuration. Again, one of our earlier iterations used the derelict fee because I legally, up and down, I'm a former Assistant Attorney General in the Real Estate Trial Division. We could show the property line going down in there. It doesn't buy us anything, and, you know, so we're just trying to
So-
lay it out. Yes, sir.
In your original plan approved by the planning board, this blue house was supposed to be torn down and the road would go straight out. So, correct?
Yeah, not exactly straight out, but
Well, yeah.
the house is torn down, but the road misses the
There's
house.
a little bit of a bend. I'm
Yeah.
looking at the plan right here.
Yep.
So, but the house was gonna come down, right?
Correct.
So, now you've gone in and, as oftentimes happens with a development like this, you had a plan for 100 units, get into the, like you said, engineers and how it actually lays out. Come up with another plan where really you've got 97 that are on your main project. So now you're looking at this front piece here to put in 2 new units and save the old house.
Exactly.
So, totally agree, understand where you're coming from. But, as you've said before, you've got a 55-acre parcel here.
Right.
And everything else is, everything else is meeting the zoning requirements. And as you know, this is a variance, and it's pretty high bar for us to say, well, this right here, because you want to get, you want to make sure you have 100 units.
No, we want to make sure that we're able to rearray it, and I don't want to interrupt you. Go ahead.
So
I know you're going somewhere.
basically, you got out there and found out that maybe this site only supports 97 units compared to what you originally had designed. So are you now looking to put those other 2 units at the entrance of the property here? Because originally there was no problem taking down the blue house, right?
Well, it's a problem, that's why
It's what?
Yeah, it is a problem, because that's why we tried to see if we could get through the waiver process at that time. It results in something which is approvable, and it was approved. The history of this is that we had the 250-foot wide easement. When it surveyed at a different degree off. And what happened was we went through the process where the forest side resulted from an earlier design. And then what happened was we were up against the elections, where we lost 2 members on the planning board. So we were in a situation where we were working very quickly to try to get it wrapped up before the election, because what happened was 2 members were reseated, and then we had to basically use the board's time to reintroduce it, et cetera. At that point, we've been doing it for a while, and we did try to see if we could do this through a waiver, and we were unable to do it. What I'll say, I think I've been pretty, open. This is approved. This is buildable. We can do it, and it's got less than optimal characteristics. We are coming to your board and saying, we can do it a lot better. And I understand a variance is a high hurdle, which is why we do all of this work. We go forward, we lay it all out for you folks. This is so unique. When we look at zoning bylaws, and we look at, classic setbacks, classic coverage, et cetera, we meet all the requirements, open space, impervious, et cetera. There are situations that, the one size fits all, fits 99% of everything in town, where that's our bylaw, and that person has to abide by it, the person across the street has to abide by it, the person on the other side of town has to abide by it. But there are exceptions where 1, 2, 3, 4, all of you folks, all bring your collective experience, your experience in the town, your experience doing this for years, and you're allowed to listen to this, and it's our hope that you can use that experience to say, this meets the criteria, this is different. I can't think of another house with a 1888 ghost subdivision next to it that also has a paper street, which also has a remnant on there, that, et cetera, that has a house that's existing, nothing's being moved on it, but it's now non-conforming. This situation gives you the opportunity to say, all right, we're gonna do it. The other thing practically is no one's gonna come by in the next 50 years and say, I've got an exact situation you folks dealt with in 2022. This is extremely unique. This is why you kept us for the end of the night, because you knew it was gonna take me a long time to explain it all, and you'd have really good questions. But 100% high bar on a variance, and when we get them, we show this level of, this isn't something you're going to see something else somewhere else. Can he build this? Yep. Is this a situation where he's looking to extract any more money out of anything? Nope. It's a situation where he's trying to save having to demolish a house, having to change the streetscape, and then also with respect to the Forest Street people, they've been great. They've supported the project. They were excellent, and this is approved. But we've got, again, we had 19 approved that abut that property line on their side and backyards. Of the 19, 10 of them were actually, direct abutting. We're able to reduce that down so that there were only 4 abutting. If nothing screams out for discretion, experience, looking at the actual criteria for a variance, and drafting an affirmative decision based on what we've provided, I mean, there's a reason that variances exist, and there are reasons that responsible developers are allowed to prepare all of this information for you folks. And we'd hope that you see the benefits, you see the minor variation that this actually would require on a single lot line against a paper street, against the MBTA right-of-way. I think in this one, we do meet it. We've put it together. I think I've added some additional information this evening. Your questions prompted a lot of the additional information. And with that, we can answer any more questions, or, we would hope that you folks will be in a position to grant this so that we can now go to planning board, and they still have to say yes, right? They can say, it doesn't work for us for this reason, that reason. We just want the opportunity to go in. We gave them a preview. We didn't feel any objections, but it all comes down. You folks are the ones with the power.
Okay. Board members, any questions? And I recognize the hour is getting late. I have, personally, I have a lot of questions based on the fact that it's a variance, and I'd be comfortable if board members wanted to continue this. And I don't think you have to have a full showing of everybody. We've got the information, but
if the board,
it's very unusual for somebody to come in with a 55-acre parcel and say that they need a variance, because, well...
Right, 55 acres, there's so much you can do. What happens, we've got, this is all wetland. Look how much, this is all wetland. We've got the Bird and Sons property. It's, I didn't go through all of that, but I can.
No, that's not really what the issue is. Like, well, if you can't, for new construction, getting a variance is not something that, we do very, very often. We sometimes have homeowners come in and say, hey, there's no other way I can put an addition on my house. This is different. And so, at least for myself, I'm gonna need to look at it. I don't think there's gonna be a decision tonight.
And we're not in a rush. We still have to go back to planning. And I agree, on new construction, what we usually can offer are usually environmental benefits, drainage benefits, benefits with the town with rights of way, et cetera. Here, the benefit is to the streetscape, the benefit is to the neighborhood which abuts us, and the benefit is to the, basically to the owner of this. Regardless, he's putting in a 12-inch water line all the way from Main Street, all the way up to Renmar, and he's putting a sidewalk in all the way from here, all the way down to Main Street. So there's, this was a very, very involved process, took, over a year. And I hear what you're saying on the 55 acres, you must be able to find something else. Believe me, we worked very collaboratively with the planning board and picked this over to the nth degree, which, results in little, to
I
be able to.
understand improvements elsewhere on the site, but.
Yeah, yeah. Well, things that aren't great. We can do this so much better because by getting more room, we can, we basically can put the homes in because we're able to have a, X number of foot incursion into the 50 foot. I mean, 50 feet's pretty significant too. It's the applicable setback, but 50 feet's an extremely robust setback. And that's another situation. But if you're not inclined to vote this evening, if you've got,
At least on
a follow-up.
other board members, do you want to look at this more, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think what, if I may, Mr. Chairman, what you're getting at is the hardship element. And haven't made formed any opinions one way or the other, but on the one hand, you say, well, we could build the existing project and we could do that. So
Don't say that.
If that's the
Yeah.
case, like I'm asking myself,
but
what's the hardship?
Right, the
Okay.
analysis doesn't end there, though. I mean,
Well, that's what all I'm
a
saying.
$600,000 home, usually no one can put a price tag, right? we can actually
Right.
show,
But
and,
what cuts against that is the fact that the original project showed it being demolished, so that wasn't really,
well, it's not an economic impediment. But economic impediments aren't necessarily hardship, just the waste of an existing portion of
I
your
guess
housing stock is important.
yeah.
Other
guess
boards
my-
would say it's very important.
Yeah, well, I guess I would just, to the extent we continue,
Great.
for me, if you could focus a little bit more on the hardship piece of it, that would be my suggestion.
Great, I appreciate that.
Okay, it is after 10 o'clock. No good decisions are made after 10 o'clock
Agree.
on zoning or many other parts of life.
Yes, indeed.
So, why don't we continue this? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yes, please, I didn't realize yes, please come forward and offer any comments that you'd like.
My name is Mona Shakarian.
You can come up, you can use the microphone.
A couple of things. And some of them I was told that there's no recourse for us because it is what it is. The property was bought, they're gonna put whatever they're gonna put there. If we had our way, we would just have both houses stay where they were, where they are, and none of this 100 units going in. We don't have a choice. We're having a street put in front of our living room. Right across from our living room, there's a street going across from our living room. That's a problem. Any one of you that live here, a street going right across from your living room, you'd have a problem with that. If we have a problem with it, we have no choice. That's what we were told. That's it. It's going in, If that is the case, there's some other concerns, we've lived in that house for well over 20 years. That, in the space of time we've lived in that house, this town has gone from about, 18,000 people to about 26. West Street is a cut-through. I don't know do any of you drive on West Street?
Every day.
Yeah, I walk on West Street every day. You might have seen me. It's a shit show. There's a cut-through. When that bridge went up or got fixed, they passed the ball field, they opened up speed going downhill. This morning, not only did almost got killed from one side, it was both sides. because cars are coming over. After the ball field, I think it's like 25 miles an hour, they open it up to 50. It's a concern. I was told by the town engineer that Walpole doesn't want to put any kind of traffic safeguards in or whatever, but there needs to be some kind of safeguard. If you're gonna put in a street in front of my living room, and I have no choice, so if a car that's going right into my living room, I have no choice, that's a safety issue, but whatever. You're gonna put 100 units, you have Amazon coming in, you have all these things coming in, you're gonna tell me that the traffic is not gonna be disturbed and that it's not gonna be less safe? It's already unsafe. It's already unsafe, and now you're gonna tell me you're gonna put 100 units in. Needs to be some kind of traffic safety piece right there, because a speed bump, or I don't care what it is, obviously a light doesn't make any sense, but it needs something to stop cars from going 100 miles an hour until somebody dies. I mean, if I get hit, what, my spouse gets money from the town, what the hell is that? I'm dead. So somebody has to do something. People who are crossing the street, Paul crosses the street every day to get his mail. He's taking his life in his hands. And then you're putting the sidewalk in, which is great, I like that, that's wonderful, but the street is so narrow as it is, I don't even know how you're gonna put a sidewalk in if it's that narrow. But there needs to be the traffic situation in regards to the 100 units needs to be reassessed.
So let me ask you, a plan has already been approved, and maybe the applicant can explain this, with a roadway coming out to West Street, and right at your living room, right, as you said. This new configuration, does that roadway change, this weather vane drive as it comes out, does it change from,
It's effectively in the same spot.
okay, pretty much in the same spot, okay,
Yeah.
so that's not, they're not talking about changing
No, I was
that part?
thinking it was gonna be Renmar that was gonna be the access point to this whole construction.
Yeah, but that's not how you guys did it. Yeah.
No, and obviously we went through quite a litigation process with the planning board, with the traffic engineers, traffic engineering peer review, as part of that public hearing process.
Okay.
And I disagree. I walk on that street every single day. That street is not.
Yeah, I mean, that's not, it's interesting. First, I hear everything you're saying. I know the traffic on West Street. What we're looking at is just a small piece of this, and I'm even trying to find out if the roadway's changing from what it was originally planned, with the cars coming right out at your house. Because I know your house is the yellow one down low, right? So I know exactly what you're talking about. But the roadway is really not changing. We're talking about,
No, I understand that. I totally understand that. I'm just speaking my piece.
yeah, so,
Because it's a problem.
Yeah.
And I need people to hear that.
So, excuse me.
Okay.
So, I know it's not your purview, but just for overall, a couple of things. The approval actually has one of the speed indicators that picks up cars on radar, tells what people are doing for speeds. So that was one of the required mitigation pieces.
on West Street, or?
On West Street.
Okay.
So that's one thing. The other thing is that when, right now, it's a straight shot, right? If you're coming up from Renmar, in your brain, you're saying, I'm gonna get to the MBTA bridge, and I'm gonna hit the corner. What'll happen is people then habitualize themselves to knowing, okay, there's a neighborhood there, there may be cars coming out, there may be a car in front of me that's slowing down to basically pull in, or there may be a car pulling out. So what happens is people mentally adjust the speeds because it's now not an unencumbered straightaway. The other thing is that we expect we'll be speaking with Lorna as we go forward. Jim's given, or if he doesn't have it,
Yeah, I do.
the phone number. We have, several projects, we've got a lot of neighbors, and Jim's got a really good history of working with the people who live there, so we'll follow up with her as well. I now am aware of where she is and what she's talking about, so we can take a look at what we can do. We're already doing work within the right-of-way. Carl's approved the plans for the sidewalk, which will be on our side of the road. So we can, we can look at different situations there, so.
And I don't necessarily have a problem with it, I would rather stay and look like a neighborhood. You know, I mean, that would work better for us if the houses stayed with certain guidelines, so, you know, but there's concerns. But again, when you say repurpose the house, are they gonna be residents or
Oh, no,
be something else?
no, to be not repurposed, reskinned.
Okay, but
Resided,
not
new windows.
as residents,
Yeah,
though, they're
yeah.
gonna be
Yes.
residences, not repurposed for something else.
Correct. 530, which exists today, that'll get the siding, which looks like, the clapboards, et cetera, that you see in the pictures. 534 would be the same. So they'll all have, similar roofs, windows, siding. So you'll see them, you'll know that it's a house. It'll still be the same house in the streetscape that's been there, but you'll also know that it's tied in to the neighborhood. So it's an investment, and it's good, and it may.
So about the traffic situation, that's not what you guys deal with?
You know, I hear you, I feel you, feel for you, because I drive there every single day.
And I would hope you slow down to
Yeah,
like
slow
30,
down.
that would be
Yeah,
nice.
slow down.
I go slow,
Thank you.
yeah. But the point is, that's really not what we're looking at
So
tonight.
who do I talk to
Well,
about this?
this-
Because
this-
again, you have 100 units going in,
I'll
and
tell- You heard us talk earlier for another hearing, and it's an enforcement issue. I mean, if people are going over the speed limit, the police will go out there. And by the way, the police are out there
yeah,
on
they
West
do,
Street.
and
They
no,
are enforcing it, so.
No, I know Mike, and when he was there, and we're friends, and, whatever. But what I'm saying is though, what's the big deal about putting a speed bump?
That's not what we're talking, that's not for the zoning board. And that's,
Even though you guys are, you're kind of approving that project, that's gonna create more traffic?
no, this project's already been approved for 100 units. And, speed bumps on their property, that's up to them and their condo associate. You're talking out on West Street?
Select,
Yeah, talk to the selectmen, they're the road commissioners, and sorry, selectmen. But, if there's something about traffic
Someone's gonna get
safety,
killed.
that's who would address it. Okay. And thank you.
Also, sidewalks narrow, slow down cars. A lot of what we're putting in will have traffic calming effects. But we'll follow up with her and find out specifically what
Yeah.
she's looking at.
Even if a buffer or something, but that's a separate offsite issue, so. Okay, so how are we looking for the 17th? Do we,
There are 6 cases for now.
6 cases?
is that including 1429 Main Street?
No.
Does that include the 240Bs we talked about?
No.
No, but those are on.
No, but
Yeah.
obviously that might not.
Okay, what about into,
September
First week.
7th, nothing is scheduled for now.
can we go to September 7th? Is that,
Guys, are we good? Yes.
okay, so we'll continue this. Could I have anybody else have any questions or comments at this point?
Not right now.
I think, yeah, I guess after tonight, I understand what's going on. It's just a lot to think about, and probably even take a look at some other maps and sets of plans, so. Okay, so, everybody good with September 7th? Okay. At the request of the applicant, could I have a motion to continue until September 7th at 7 o'clock here at Town Hall?
So moved.
Moved by Bob. Second by Dave. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of continuing, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time, everyone.
And thank you for
Appreciate it.
sticking around.
It's morning.
Yeah, everybody worked a full day. and then does this.
degrees out.
Okay, does anybody have anything? We don't have any minutes that we were gonna do tonight.
We did have minutes
What's that?
for June 1.
Okay, I didn't look at them. We can do those at our next meeting.
I only found one little thing.
What did you find?
I made a motion and I seconded the motion to adjourn.
Oh, you made it.
I must have raised both hands. I think I made it and Jane seconded it.
Oh,
That's the only thing I
Also,
found.
yeah,
Are you-
I just had a couple comments, but we don't have to go through
No,
them
we
all
can't.
tonight, but,
We can't.
page 1, the motion, I voted twice on that.
Okay.
Just gotta replace that. I think that should be a copy.
You guys are great.
Vote and vote.
Same thing on
Motion
page 2
and
for the
second.
2 votes. The bottom 2 votes. I think the
Yes.
second Fitzgerald
Yeah,
should be
that's the
copied.
problem with copy paste, okay.
Yeah.
Judy, what did you have on that?
I think the last page, I think I motioned to adjourn and
oh.
seconded the motion. I think it was
Right now, you're talking about the minutes.
the minutes. Oh, I'm sorry, no, the minutes.
I was,
No,
I got you.
no. I'll make a motion to adjourn if
Yeah,
you want me
motion
to.
by Mrs. You're right, Ms. Conlon. Okay, will you make, could I, let's just, can I just have that? We do have people that have reviewed the minutes, so could I have a motion to approve the minutes of June 1st?
So moved.
Moved by Judy,
Second.
second by Drew. Okay, Dave, you weren't here, so you won't be actually just
With the changes discussed.
with the changes as outlined by Mr. Fitzgerald and Ms. Conroy. You can pass that over to him.
I think you got it. I
Yeah,
just,
I can't.
All those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, so carried. Okay, now, how about a motion to adjourn tonight's
So
meeting?
moved.
Moved by Judy. Can't second
Seconded
it.
by Judy.
Second by Dave. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Good night, everybody. Thank you.